So we have the loft guest room, and apparently they're on both ends of each side. But when I talked to the people on the phone, they said I'm on the same level as the lobby and the restaurants and all that stuff.
Okay, so you're on the main floor, or
I think
you're
we're
down.
live, by the way.
Okay.
There could be a balcony, because I didn't have a balcony, but I had like a door that I can open and go outside
Mm-hmm.
to outside. So I had that with like chairs and stuff. So
Hello, Hassan.
Yeah.
what's up? So excited.
All right, so I need this one in a new tab. Bye. This one is going to be live. Make sure that's muted. Where?
I'm watching the live chat, so
Okay, good.
if
Thank you.
anybody's talking to us.
Copy URL.
Oh, are you sharing to the pages?
I'm going to share it. Just a second. All right. So
Somebody sounds like they're landing a plane over there.
where
That's
I am?
me.
Oh.
That's my laptop fan.
Good Lord, John.
But this laptop.
Brian, you can come down for a second, bud.
I had this laptop since 2010. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it's even still surviving. It's 9 years old.
Watch out for the wire, okay, bud?
It's a relic.
I'm just set. I have to set up first. You see, bud?
They don't even make them anymore.
I'm not set up yet. That's what I'm trying to do. Watch my hand. Watch my arm. I'm trying to get set up. Could you back up a little bit?
Wait, Julie coming?
I have no idea. She said she was going to be right there. So I'm going to get these guys started, and if she comes on, she comes on. I thought Andrea was coming. She said, you're recording. I said, are you coming? No one said. She never said nothing. So I don't know, and I'm not chasing people. All right.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Oh, nice. Kicking it old school.
Coming.
What does this say?
Daddy,
Yes, bud.
remember, when you're done, you have to do my.
I know. I'm going to, buddy. I promise you. I promise, okay? All right. That is posted on the main page.
I put it in Club BTID already.
Okay, good. I'm going to share it to my page. This has been shared to your timeline. Yay. Okay, so you got it there. All right. We do audio checks. Make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, you guys got the list?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Hey, girl. Well, I see her face, but I don't hear her.
You can see her? I see
I see her.
dark.
I
Oh, there
see
she
her,
is.
but I don't
We don't hear you, kid. It's because she's messing with a lot of streaming stuff, I think. Right, kid?
She needs some light, man. She needs some light in there. She's so dark.
How about now?
There you go.
There you go.
Sorry about that.
John's got, was it TLC stuck in my head?
Don't go chasing those waterfalls.
Okay, so that's set up.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Rivers, lakes you're used to.
All right, that's done. All right, let's see here. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Hello, Dolly. John, give me a microphone check.
Check 1 2 1 2. Be right back.
Julie, give me a microphone check, please.
Hi, I'm Julie. How are you?
And Trin, microphone check, please.
Microphone check. Microphone check.
Okay. hand in that worst spot, right where my thumb meets underneath. Ugh. Hey, Jeremy.
Jeremy, hi.
Next Saturday we can do Suicide Squad if you want to, John and Julie. I don't know if Trin wants to join for Suicide Squad movie review,
Sure.
and then we'll do what you call it,
Mortal Engines.
Get Vocal. We'll get that set
Oh.
up, and we'll do Mortal
yeah.
Engines also real soon because maybe we'll do that right after because that was a good movie. I thought that was
That
a
was
sleeper.
so underrated.
I have to see it now. I have to go watch it now.
It's really
It was good. It was so good that I'm going to get the audiobook and give the audiobook a shot. I just
Who
the
we
other
doing-
night.
Who are we doing today? Sam Tarley and Sansa? Is that where we're at?
Yep.
Do you have?
Yeah.
You don't have
Sam.
access to
Start
the
with-
notes.
We start with Sam Tarley. So we're going
Oh, yeah,
Sam
there you are.
Tarley, Sansa Stark,
Jorah.
Ser Jorah, Theon Greyjoy, Tyrion Lannister, Grey Worm, the Night King.
Andrea!
There she is.
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ! I thought she was dead again.
Here we go.
Christ.
Oh my God.
You know how many people have been emailing me and asking where you've been?
Oh my.
I don't know the answer to that actually.
12.
12 people. That's exciting.
12.
What have they said?
Out of-
Only 12.
We did get 40,000 downloads on the last episode, so
Well, I
It's
can't
usually-
take any credit for that. Congratulations, you guys.
it's usually 1% of response to anything you do.
Well, I'm proud of you guys. 12 responses, you guys. I'm really sorry I've been out of it. My computer completely kicked it on me. I don't know what happened. I'm writing a fan fiction right now. And I'm sorry. You know what? Actually, did I interrupt you guys in the middle of an important conversation?
No, we were just getting started. Are you joining us for the show?
Yeah, I don't see a reason why I can't.
Perfect.
I'm gonna be on my phone for the
okay.
for the call though, because my computer. I was writing my fan fiction and it just randomly distorted my screen did, and so I shut it off and shut it back on, and now my screen goes from being completely distorted to being clear, and it won't go past the password for me to log into my computer, so I have no idea what's going on with it. I have to bring it over to Apple.
I'm going to get you guys. I'm going to get you guys started, and John, you're going to take over, right?
Yep.
What's the
And-
topic?
We're going over.
have a list of the main characters who are left still, and we have spent the last couple of shows going through the list, and we're at the end. It's alphabetical, so we are just discussing. So Sam Tarley is first, then Sansa, then Ser Jorah, then Theon, then Tyrion, then Grey Worm, and then the Night King. Basically, where they started out and then where they're at right now, and not really predictions, but just kind of their little. We're just reviewing journeys of the people who are left.
So they're
left
so they're,
in the story.
Their character arc.
Basically, yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
Trin,
I'll follow your lead.
can you get a little bit closer to your mic? Just a little bit. There you go.
I will make my mic.
Oh, that's
move.
much better.
Wait,
better.
Chris, why are you leaving?
I have an electrical issue that I'm trying to fix. I'll be back. It shouldn't.
Julie.
I've been working on this all day. I was up in my small attic above Joanne's room. Almost fell to the ceiling.
Oh, great.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But okay, no harm, no foul. I did not burn the house down yet, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so mic check on me. Hello, 1, 2. Julie, mic check.
You already did my mic check.
Trin, one more time.
Mic check. Mic check. Is this better?
Yeah, it's much better. John.
Check 1 2 1 2. Don't forget to mention Ice and Fire Con.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, Ice and FireCon. I'll let John mention Ice and FireCon.
Awesome.
You can do it when I intro you. Because I'm having a brain fart. And Andrea, mic check, please.
Mic check. Mic check.
All right, good. I'm just gonna turn you guys up just a little bit. Okay. So let's see here. Hey, Mag. Woo!
Hi, Mag.
So Jeremy, Mag, and Hassan have showed up.
Andrea, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
What?
are you coming to Ice and Fire Con?
I don't think I can.
Okay.
My finances are so fucked up right now, dude. They raised my rent. My family. I don't think I can afford it, dude.
Hello, Alyssa. Woohoo! She says,
Oh,
welcome
she says,
back.
welcome back, and Andrea.
Hi.
Oh yeah,
I wasn't really gone, but I was kind of gone, but
you don't want to miss the pre-show.
just been missing in action. That's
And also the
mostly
post-show. That gets pretty crazy too.
it. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to play this and get us started here.
John, turn off your mic.
For the record, though, I am officially doing
Sorry.
like a 13-day countdown. I've been like counting down ever since like 2 weeks ago.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit language and spoilers. This is Behind the Iron Throne, your unofficial Game of Thrones podcast.
Why does that sound different?
All right, we'll start right there. What the hell was that?
Sounds beautiful.
What is that?
I love it.
We sounded like the Transformers. For
That
just
was
a
pretty
just
funny.
moment. That was Transformer
Transformers.
fucking. That's totally Transformers, dude.
Surprise between the thighs. Something, something, something. The Decepticons. Okay, here we go. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Well, hello. Welcome back to Behind the Iron Throne. I'm your host, Chris Gray, and I'm joined tonight by a great panel of Game of Thrones enthusiasts. Let's start with my left, going over to my right. She whispers to dragons. She is the Dovahkiin Trin. Welcome to the podcast on episode 204. Welcome.
Heck yes. So excited to be here. And we are counting down 14 days, baby.
13 and a wake up.
Preparing for season 8, part 3, March 31st. We're almost there. The next episode you hear us record after this one, we're going to be reviewing the actual show. Every Monday night, we're going to be reviewing it Monday nights. And then after the season is over, we're going to be going through the entire season and breaking it down even farther. So we're going to do a quick shot of the episode, like, hey, oh my God, it was amazing. Oh my God, oh my God. And then after the season is over, we're going to do a whole season breakdown afterwards.
We're all gonna cry.
Yeah. So, Trin, it's great to have you on the show, and we're going to have a lot of fun. All right, next up, we have my wonderful and talented sister, Julie, from the Hockey Hour podcast, and I think she's streaming or something like that. What's up, kiddo?
What's going on? Yeah, I'm trying to. I have a lot of stuff I have to get figured out with my system, but yeah, trying to stream anyway.
Oh,
What's up,
you know
everybody?
how the technology is so much fun.
Oh yes, technology is great. It's fantastical.
Next up, we have the lovely and talented, the amazing, the man who needs no introduction, Lord Ductarian, King of the Wicker People, Jonathan Stomas Starklover.
What's
Long
up,
may he
Chris?
reign.
I'm so excited to we're almost there to Game of Thrones season premiere, and we're almost near Ice and Fire Con, Chris, which is Thursday, April 25th. I will be there. Trin will be there. You, Chris, will be there. It's gonna be amazing. There's gonna be a jousting tournament. I'm gonna be in like 3 panels. You guys need to check it out because it's an amazing convention.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it and meeting all the fans and being a part of it. And with this being the last, season of Game of Thrones on the TV, I'm excited. I can't wait to meet everybody. All right, so next, somebody hasn't been in the podcast in a while because I think she was abducted by aliens, but she fought them
Mistress
off.
of Disappearances.
Yes, the Mistress of Whispers is back, and she used her Valyrian steel fisticuff gauntlets to battle her way back from the planet Morgador. That's right.
Sure.
I'm mixing all kinds of different sci-fi. Ladies and gentlemen,
like it.
she's back. Andrea, welcome back to the show.
I'm changing my name to the Mistress of Disappearances.
Oh, like a magician.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like Varys. I'm like in different disguises. You just can't tell.
Now-
She's a ninja.
I want to make sure that I want to plug a couple things. Now, I'm not going to be hosting for most of the show. I got some issues I got to deal with at home. I'll be here in the studio. Well, I'm going to be at the same location. So, John, if you have any issues or you guys text me, I'll be right back. I'm going to try to get back here before the end of the show. But real quick, before we start, I just want to mention a few things. Number one, we do the show live. At least right now, we're going to be, well, actually, this is the last live show we're doing on Sunday until after the season. So we're going to do the show live on Monday nights What time we haven't decided on a time yet, have we? Like maybe 8:30.
I'm curious really quick because
mhm.
this is the first I've had a conversation with you guys. Do you guys see, just so you know, you're not the only ones that I've been neglecting. So we're not going to be recording after the show on Sunday nights anymore?
Correct.
Correct.
We're going to be doing it
Okay.
on Monday nights around 8:30 live here on the YouTube, and you can check us out at BehindTheIronThrone.tv, or of course you can get our podcast anywhere, Google, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you like to get your podcast from. Also want to mention that we're going to be experimenting with something called Get Vocal, so that people will be able to jump into our conversation and talk with us. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to be experimenting with that this weekend. Actually, my team and I were going to be reviewing Suicide Squad on Nerd Theater, which we're going to record this coming weekend. We'll experiment with Get Voxel. Am I missing anything important? Yes, I am.
Ollie.
Oh, hey, Ollie. And also make sure you check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/Behind the Iron Throne, where you can always sign up for #BTIT and join our BTIT club so you can constantly be in contact with us. We try to get back to you as quick as possible. We're all a little busy right now as we're gearing up for the next season of Game of Thrones. So without further ado, I'm going to let these guys go over the rest of our character arcs. John, you're going to take over while I'm gone. Big shout out to everybody that's watching us live. We got Hassan, Jeremy, Mag, Alyssa, Ali, and if I missed anybody, it's because I haven't seen anybody comment yet. Let me just check our participant list. That's it so far. If you have anything you want to join in, just you type in there and we'll read it for you. All right, so you guys have a good show, and I'll see you back here ASAP.
So,
Thank
John,
you,
before
Chris.
we jump into too much more, I do want to say that even though during the season we're only going to be doing Monday nights, while we're at the con, I'm probably going to upload a whole bunch of videos from the con while we're there. So throughout that week and weekend, you guys will be getting, if you subscribe to our channel, you'll be getting those updates, and you'll get to see John jousting.
Yes, and I'm gonna win this year, so there's that. And I'm on panels and a meetup, so it's gonna be sick. Yeah. So like Chris said, last two shows we've been covering the characters of this season. So we're gonna kick off with my boy's best friend, Samuel Tarly. Trin, you go first.
So Sam, we actually meet him in season 1 right away when he shows up at the wall, and he's Mr. Piggy Boy, or Piggy. What do they call him?
Sir Piggy?
Lady Pig, or yeah, Sir Pig. And he's a craven, a self-proclaimed craven, and he's just so sad and pathetic. And John takes him under his wing, and they become BFFs. And he is John's original, like, hand, if you will, I think.
Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the sidekick of all sidekicks. He's great.
Exactly.
And he's very wise, but he doesn't get enough credit for being wise. But anyway, he's going to come back and I mean, I feel like his character arc was to be supporting John and to also be one of the vehicles in which the information for John and his Targaryen heritage comes out. So that will basically finish up Sam's arc, or what his purpose was in this whole situation. He might have more to do. I don't think they're going to kill him off. I think there's a theory out there that says that he's the writer of A Song of Ice and Fire, and they did kind of hint at that last season. So that, that's how that could end. But I do think that his arc is specifically to bring that information to John.
Yeah, I love Sam. He's my boy. I agree with everything you said. He's gonna be very crucial to John and the Avengers against the Night King. Julie, what do you have to say?
With Sam's character, I feel like, he starts out as the bleak young, the bleak guy that had to go to the wall because his dad didn't, really love him and didn't care about him, and and all that stuff. And you kind of feel sorry for him in a way when we first meet him. You kind of feel like, I don't know if anybody else felt this, but growing up, being that I've always been like a heavy kid, I kind of relate to Sam. It always feels like he's the kid that they always pick on for being overweight, or, maybe he's not fast enough or smart enough or this or that. And you can kind of feel for him right at the onset when we first get introduced to Sam. And then uh, as the story progresses, as Jon Snow's character develops on at the wall, so does Sam's. It's almost, and Andrea said it. It's Batman and Robin. They go together, and then Jon goes beyond the wall and gets lost for a little while, and Sam gets into a bunch of shenanigans. He gets himself caught up in some stuff, and then I feel like at the end of the day, I think of all the people in this show, even I mean, I'm just basing my theory here about the show, not so much about what his character's like in the books, but Sam is probably, I think, the most honorable of all the characters in Game of Thrones, because the wildling that he takes under his wing and protects, it's not his kid, but he's going to raise it as his kid, and that resonated with a lot of people. And I think for Sam, he just wants to try to do the right thing all the time, and he just tries to be the best of himself. It's almost like he's always trying to prove to himself that he is not what his father thought he was. He is not this waste of space or whatever the case may be. And when he goes away to learn to be a maester, then you get to see Sam in his element as a super intelligent guy. He likes to read books. He's constantly curious. He's always, his mind is always thinking 2-3 steps ahead. And I think that is where Sam is in his element in that environment. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen once Danny and Jon show up in Winterfell, and they now have to have that conversation where, his brother, quote unquote, is about to tell him, guess what? You're not really a bastard of the North. You're actually a Targaryen. And then Sam's there to back it up. That's going to be an interesting bit of scene I think we're going to get right off the bat. And I think Jon will put himself through so much stuff, but I think with Danny's help, and then of course I think with Sam, he'll always rely on Sam. Sam's his best friend in this. They've been through so much. I love Sam's character. You root for Sam. Like, he's one of those characters that you're like, yes, make it. Yes, get to this part. You really want Sam to achieve what he's meant to. And I agree with Trin. I think his story arc is kind of going to plateau probably the first or second episode, but it'll be interesting to see how they interweave him throughout the rest of the season, and ultimately what'll be the conclusion of all of it.
Nicely said. I love Sam. I agree with everything you said. Does he live or die, Julie?
Does Sam live or die? Oh, I think Sam lives. And I think it goes back to what Trin said. They kind of set it up that he's going to be the writer. Basically, he's going to be the author of a song of Ice and Fire, and we've always speculated for years that our George R.R. Martin wrote Sam in his own light. Like, that's basically his, like, how he sees himself. Do you know what I mean? And so I feel like Trin's right on that one. I think he lives. I do think he lives, and I think he's going to do something that's going to catapult him to a higher plateau within the Maesters. That'll keep him, cataloging and archivist or whatever.
He's a wizard.
He's a wizard. You're a wizard.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sam is a secret badass. Okay, he killed a White Walker. He stood up to those guys. He stood up to those guys in the Night's Watch before Ghost came in. He's there fighting against the Wildlings at the Battle of Castle Black. I mean, Sam.
He just always tries to be that guy.
He's the best. Andrea, what do you have to say?
Well, Sam is probably one of the most integral players in the game. And It scares me to think about what would happen had Sam actually not been sent to the Night's Watch in the first place. We wouldn't know that dragon glass can kill White Walkers. We wouldn't know half of the things that we know. And you actually reluctantly just said what I was thinking the whole entire time. Sam wanted to be a wizard his whole entire life. That's all he ever wanted to be, was a wizard. John wanted to be Trueborn. He wanted to be a Stark. But Sam wanted to be a wizard. And I think that Sam is the epitome of the very first lesson we learned from Ned Stark. A man can only be brave if he's afraid, which Sam is afraid by leaps and bounds. He has an abundance of fear inside of him. You know what I mean? But that in equal measure means that he has an abundance of bravery. For that matter, I don't think that Sam's story is going to end with simply writing A Song of Ice and Fire. It could possibly be that Sam, being the fact that he took Heart's Bane from his father, will have a better role to play than everyone gives him credit for, because everyone takes Sam as a scared, craven, you know what I mean? And Sam has demonstrated multiple times how he's not scared and he's not craven. He brought a wildling home to the wall. No other freaking man of the Night's Watch has ever done that before. Never. Not one of them has ever done that before. Not only that, but he's still betting her. You know what I mean? They didn't necessarily know that, but he was betting her too. It was no secret that he felt affections towards this girl. He essentially took a wife and all that. He stole a goddamn wildling. In fact, he did take a wife. He took a wife, and he's living at the wall with his wife at the wall. You know what I mean? I mean, that's it's little acts, but it still equals bravery in some sort. In some sense, it's a form of rebellion. So I've been on this tangent lately where I'm trying to figure out like how all the magic actually works in Westeros. You know what I mean? How the fuck did Melisandre bring back Jon Snow? How the fuck did Beric Dondarrion come back to life? What's going on with the White Walkers? All of these things. And it comes down to individual powers, right? Sam is a fucking wizard. Because that's where his power is. That's his power. He's a wizard. Cute. It's his own magic. His magic is inside the books. You know what I mean? And so I don't see a plateau for Sam, and I do see him surviving this all. And I think that he's integral to Jon. And I think that when you think about the archetypes of both of these characters, Sam is Jon Snow's Merlin.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
He's Jon Snow's Merlin.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They balance each other. They wouldn't be able to. Jon Snow always comes back, but the only reason why people believe in Jon Snow coming back is because Sam is there to make sure that they know that he will come back, that they believe in him. You see what I'm saying? So Jon said to Daenerys, people follow you because they believe that you did something impossible, and maybe they think that you can do something else that's impossible. And that's the same thing that happens with Jon. But who was the person who was making people believe that Jon could do these impossible things? It was Sam. He got him elected for the Night's Watch. I mean, as Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He, convinced Lord Commander Mormont to bring him on the ranging. I mean, maybe he didn't do that. No, he didn't do that. But there was a lot of different things that Sam has done for Jon, you know what I mean, to promote Jon and to being the person that Jon is. And so without Sam, Jon would be basically just a bastard still. And I mean, they're as fit for one another as Jon is for Dany, or Gilly is for Sam, or freaking Arya is for Jon, in my opinion. But I mean, I don't know. I love Sam. He's easily one of my favorite people, and I think that the biggest moment for him will come with the White Walkers. I don't think he's going to sit back. I don't think he's going to hide in the freaking in the crypts and wait for the freaking White Walkers to be to die. I think he's going to go out there. He's going to go out there. He's going to save Gilly. He's going to save Jon. He's going to do what he has to do. And I don't think that the situation with Dany and Sam will be that bad. I mean, sure, I think it'll suck when he finds out about Dickon, but after everything they went through at Horn Hill last season, I doubt very much it'll matter very much to Sam at all what happened to Randall.
Yeah.
Nice. Trin, do you have comments here?
Well, we've got a lot of people in the chat right now.
Yay.
Ollie said he's sad to say this is going to be his last show, that he gets to stay with us live because he is working on Monday nights. So sorry about that, Ollie. But you can always come back and watch afterwards. And Big E's with us in the house, and Big E says April 26th through the 28th, Avengers Endgame and Game of Thrones Battle at Winterfell in the same weekend. God help us all. It also happens to be the Ice and Fire Con that we're going to. So our brains are going to explode.
So we've got Avengers Endgame, we've got Ice and Fire Con, we've got the Battle of Winterfell. I'm going to Connecticut for something. It's going to be such a crazy weekend. Yes. I don't know how we're going to all survive it.
Like me and Trin and Chris are going to be watching this to their room full of people. I just can't imagine the reaction to that battle. Like, oh my God, like it's going to be the battle. Oh, I can't wait. Any other comments or?
That's all the major ones. Yeah.
So let's move on to our next character. My future wife here. I love her. She's the best. Sansa Stark.
I want her to die.
Stop it. Stop it right now. You're gone. Stop it. No, stop it. No.
I'm absolutely serious, so fuck
Sansa's
her.
the best. I love Sansa. There's nothing more I can say. She's the best. She's gonna.
She's not the
Trin-
best. Arya's the best.
Trin-
Sansa
How
can
is
fucking
she
suck
the
it.
best?
Yeah, she can.
I don't know. I like
There's
Sansa.
nothing best about Sansa.
I like Sansa. Okay, jeez. Trin,
Okay,
we
well, when Sansa starts plotting against her brother this season, then whatever.
Sacrilege. Trin, we have to say.
What do you mean
Sacrilege.
Sacrilege. That could happen.
It's all in her. It's all in her story. It's right there from the very beginning. All she wanted to do was be a queen that people would love. That's all she wanted, and have golden-haired babies. She's gonna get back with her husband Tyrion, and they're gonna start plotting together against Dany because Sansa's gonna be freaking jealous, and that's gonna be that.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't even know what to do with that.
Because you have to think about it. Now you're stuck with it. Now that I put it out there in the universe, it's like, how do you take it back, right?
Truth.
It's right in your face, and you have to sit back and think. It's in Sansa's nature to completely betray Jon because of Daenerys, and it's in Tyrion's nature to betray Daenerys because of freaking Jon.
And she
Cersei.
was taught by Darth Baelish, so she knows
Exactly.
how to do those kinds of things.
Exactly.
That's a bit of a twist.
And
What do you think?
she was emulating the hell out of Cersei last season.
That's true. What do you think, Trin?
I missed some of what Andrea was
Sansa's
saying.
gonna betray Jon, and she's gonna die next season. I hope she does, anyways.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Thank you, Trin.
Yeah, so I
Should
love
get
Sansa.
should be executed right next to her husband.
You know, I love Sansa to death, and she's probably one of my favorite characters.
Oh, you can keep her.
And I was actually John and I are on a panel in at the con, and it's called Name That Character's D&D class. And I was going through the characters because I'm making a PowerPoint for it. And I came to Sansa and I was like talking to my husband, and I said, what would be her powers? And when you said that, it was hilarious because I was
Said
like,
what?
I've actually thought this, like what people's different power, where their power comes from, or like the magic or whatever. And we've talked on the show about, I think I brought it up at one of the last two episodes, that Bran has this awesome, he's a green seer, he's an oracle, whatever. And Arya's got this faceless man magic. And here's Sansa, who's not ever been around magic or anything extra in her entire life. And so she's freaking out about, not really freaking out, but like, this is a lot to deal with. And then in next season, she's going to deal with dragons as well. So
If I had to tell you what Sansa's power is, I would have to tell you that I think that she's sort of a siren. Not necessarily in that she uses her body to get what she wants, but in the fact that Sansa is beautiful and her songs are what pull people to her. Sansa is a bird that lives in a gilded cage, and she sings pretty songs, and her pretty songs are what has basically attracted people to her. So I would say that she has a form of being her pretty songs are basically
her courtesy.
Her courtesies, yeah. The things that she's had to practice her whole entire life, basically her courtesies, her
her superpower is her diplomacy.
Her superpowers belong in the fact that she has a vagina between her legs, and she understands that because Sophie trained her that way. And that's a fact.
So my husband said that
hold on. I do want to add.
Was okay. Go ahead.
I just want to say I want to add to the fact that it's really hard to tell what's going on with Sansa because of the way Sansa is colored. Arya is obviously all Stark colors. You know what I mean? So we know that she's a warrior queen. She named her wolf Nymeria. She's strong. She's gonna lead men and women in battle. You know what I mean? That's Arya's fate. You know what I mean? With Sansa, it's a little different. You look at Sansa, you look at Bran, you look at Rickon, you look at Robb. They're all red-haired, blue-eyed, very pale. No Stark colors. But what they do have, that Arya and Jon don't have, is that they have the colors of the weirwood. They're pale in skin and red in hair, and their eyes are blue like the rivers of the water that river run sits on. So my idea is, if we're going by the magic of the old gods, they have the ability to swim through time frames. Like Bran is a green seer. He can swim fluidly through past, present, and future. I don't think that Sansa necessarily is a green seer, but I do think that Sansa has some sort of magic in her blood that is based on the weirwood. So she has a connection. So maybe she can't necessarily randomly have visions, but that doesn't mean she won't be connected to the magic of the old gods by touch or of the weirwood or whatever. We don't know. These are powers that aren't developed, but there is some sort of magic in her one way or the other. And I think it comes down to her coloring. And the reason why I think the coloring is important is because Bloodraven actually marks on this to Bran in Dance of Dragons, how the gods give their people specific eye colors. Red is specifically rare, blue is rare, green. They all mean different things. And Sansa and Bran and Rickon and Robb all have blue eyes and red hair. They're the colors of the weirwood. Where Jon is all black, but Ghost is ice and fire. He's red eyes and white fur. He's the color. He is the weirwood. He's the old gods personified. But ice and fire is red and white. So I mean, everyone has a specific type of power to them. Even if you look at Lady was very well mannered. She was very quiet. She was very tame. She was very docile. That's Sansa's power. Their wolves outwardly reflect what their inner power is, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Sansa's power, her magics, are her courtesies.
Yes, my husband and I were talking about it, and he said Sansa's the one person in the entire Song of Ice and Fire who can take abuse more than anyone else. Like, that's her superpower, is that she can be abused in every possible way, emotionally, mentally, physically, and she somehow still survives. Even more, like, and I don't even think it, when we talk about Cersei and we say like a lot of what she did, she brought on herself. Sansa sort of indirectly brought a lot of that on herself, but at the same time, like, she was a freaking child. What was she, 11 when they first went to King's Landing? And so she was like literally a child. And so she's grown now and taken all of this abuse and had to grow out of that pain and that suffering and come back to Winterfell to get her bearing back and get her grounding back. And I liked her one statement to, oh God, what was that girl's name? Ramsay's little plaything. Miranda. When she's giving her the bath and she says to Miranda, "This is my home. You can't scare me. Like, I belong here." And so I think Sansa's done a full circle. Like, she wanted to go to King's Landing. She wanted to be the queen, but then she realized like she lost everything and she just wanted to go home because she realized what really mattered, and that was her home and her family. So I don't think she's going to betray Jon, because she's going to take up the mantle as the Stark in Winterfell. That's where she's supposed to be and where she's going. Bran's not going to do it. Arya's not going to do it. She's the only one left. She will be the Stark in Winterfell because Jon's not a Stark.
Julie?
Well, that's true.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Well, I think when it comes to Sansa, we have a very complex character. I don't think a lot of us expected Sansa to be so complex when we first started originally reading the books, and then, seeing the direction in which HBO took her from that. At the beginning, you're right. I mean, she was bred and groomed essentially to, you are going to be a queen, you are the lady, blah, 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 blah. She was groomed for it. She was groomed to, I don't know if she was necessarily, I can't remember if she was necessarily groomed to be with Joffrey. I think that was something that kind of just came about because Ned and Baratheon were such good friends. But I also think, like, yeah, she had her head in the clouds. She was very much a naive child in the sense that she was so used to her little world in Winterfell. She had never really branched. She never had gone anywhere. So she was like, oh, King's Landing, of course. Yes, I'm going to be the queen and I'm going to marry Joffrey. And it was all she wanted. And she treated Arya like shit for almost her entire life, because Arya was not the norm. Arya was, me. I feel like I'm much like Arya, you know, the tomboy. Like I don't live by the same rules. I'm not prim. I'm not proper. You know, I have manners, but I'm not prim and proper. I'm not your prototypical, you know, like, you know, I don't wear makeup. Like that's not me. And that's like Arya. And I think Sansa was always jealous of her because Arya was just like, whatever. You know, she just let it roll. And I don't think Sansa was given that opportunity because she had to be the lady. She had to be the one that was going to be betrothed to the future king, right? So, but of course, it didn't give you necessarily the 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 wherewithal to go ahead and treat your siblings like garbage. You know, she treated Arya like shit. And then they get to King's Landing, and she's, you know, big eyes, and she's loving she's taking it all in, and she's enjoying the company of Cersei, and Cersei's teaching her things. And then all of a sudden, Ned loses his head, and now she's stuck in a completely different situation. She is now a prisoner. She is no longer there of free will. She is now a prisoner. And then you see Sansa, you know, and there were times in when I would read the book and I would watch the show, and I would just want to scream at TV at her, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, stand up for yourself. But she didn't know how. She wasn't versed in that. She was versed in how to be, you know, a prim and proper lady, right? And now, as we go through everything that this child into adulthood has had to go through, the being, you know, you're going to be betrothed to Joffrey, but now Joffrey's throwing you aside because he's going to marry this other lady. She's prettier. She's this, she's that. And you see Sansa like, thank God I didn't want to marry him. He's crazy, right? Because she was tortured by him. And then she leaves that situation and she has Tyrion, who's actually wanted to treat her with respect. And I think that she felt it was weird for her, but she was very comfortable because she knew he wasn't going to hurt her. She was very much trusting of Tyrion. And then Tyrion has to leave because, you know, he kills his father, and now she has nowhere to go. And then she gets stuck with Baelish. Darth Baelish, who starts to play with her brain. Sansa's brain was completely messed with. And this is why I kind of understand and agree a little bit as to what Andrea is saying, is because she is basically got Stockholm syndrome. Now, granted, Baelish is gone. She is no longer under his, you know, spell, but it's still there. It's still in her head of how to get what you want, how to game the system, how to be sneaky about it. That's all in her brain, right? And then you see her go, and she is, yeah, Baelish gives her to Ramsay. And you could see she's like, you son of a bitch, how could you do that to me? I thought we were a partnership. And then Ramsay goes and just completely just tortures the living shit out of her. And I think that brought her to balance a little bit, but her brain is still under Baelish's control, even though Baelish is gone. You know, now that she has essentially betrayed Baelish, which was awesome, by the way.
I'd like to follow up on this.
Absolutely. And when she did that, I was like, hell yeah, Sansa. But I can totally understand what Andrea is saying. She is in that syndrome, you know, and I have this sneaky feeling that when she is given the opportunity, when she finds out that Jon is not he is a Stark, he has half Stark blood in him, but he's more Targaryen. I think that's going to piss Sansa off. And I think she may do something that she's going to regret, maybe. I don't know if Sansa lives or dies. I don't know.
Why would that piss her off?
You know, I'm not saying it would essentially piss her off, like, how dare you betray the family? Because Jon wouldn't have known.
Right.
But I think for her, it's going to go back to the Baelish stuff. You know, like, it's hard to describe what Baelish did to her because it was so strategic and so finely tuned, him planting these things into her so that she would turn at the opportune moments. So I think for her, she'll feel a sense of basically she'll feel betrayed, mostly by her father, because her father didn't tell them the truth about John. I think she'll feel betrayal that way, and it'll project onto John. I don't think she'll directly mean it to John, but I think it'll be a projection of hate, of anger from her father. So there's a lot that's going to go on with Sansa. Do I think Sansa lives or dies? I can't determine that right now. I know that a Stark is going to survive. Which Stark? I don't know. I
Right.
don't know.
Well, that's what I meant about like there always has to be a Stark in Winterfell. And
Yep.
we already know that Bran can't, he's said, I'm not that person. And Arya is obviously not that person. And since that rules, and Jon's going to be ruled out because of the Targaryen. And I thought about like, why would they keep Sansa around this long? Why would she have gotten through that journey, all that torture, all the way back to Winterfell for what? What's the point? Because there has to be a Stark in Winterfell.
But you know what I think is also interesting too, Trin, and I don't know how much to take in of this or how not to, but if you go back and you rewatch the trailer for the season,
Mhm.
Sansa only appears in one scene when the dragon flies overhead. You have
No,
this
she's been there a few
huge-
times.
but like you think about it, you have this huge thing with Arya where she's running away, and
Mhm.
you've got all this other stuff where Sansa's kind of just like there, not really doing. Like, it doesn't look like she is in any kind of dire situation
Mhm.
from what we can tell in parts of the trailer. So I don't know how much to take away from that. You know, is Arya's story arc going to be way more complex and more fight for your life, whereas Sansa's more protected? So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yes.
I have a feeling Arya doesn't make it. I feel Sansa might.
So so Sansa is almost like in a chess game. Sansa would be the same piece as Tyrion, if you think about it. Neither one of them are fighters.
Right.
You know, Tyrion is very diplomatic. Tyrion uses his mind. So does Sansa, and they are a
Yeah,
great
those
match.
are our Sylvester players.
I cannot wait. And yeah, very much Syvas players. I cannot wait for their reunion. Like that is going to be really, to me, that's going to be really heartwarming. And I hope Dan and Dave put that in there in one of a moment in the 6 episodes where you have a good conversation
moment just for them.
between Sansa and Tyrion. That would be just fantastic. They deserve
So
it.
this is what. So I want to follow up on everything that has just been said. As far as Sansa goes, it's quite possible that she'll be the Stark in Winterfell. I haven't really considered that because I don't really consider Winterfell being on the board after the long night. Not that it won't be there; it just won't be livable at that point.
Right.
So it's going to be off the board for that generation of Starks, anyways.
I
To
mean,
a certain extent.
Theon
Now,
burned it down, right?
yes,
or
but we're talking about
Ramsay.
the annihilation.
Yeah,
of the
but it's going to
White
be
Walkers.
like
But we're talking
straight
about
up
the White Walkers
annihilation.
Yeah.
and the dead underneath the crypts of Winterfell, and I mean, we don't really know what that's going to lead to. We don't even know if there's going to be wildfires show up at Winterfell via Cersei Lannister next season. I mean, to say that any of that is not a possibility is just ridiculous. It's all a possibility at this point. You know what I mean?
Everything is
possible when
on
it
the
comes down-
table.
You know what I mean? So Cersei now knows that Jon and Dany are working together. Who's to say that Cersei's not going to send somebody to try to blow up the fucking Starks and the fucking Targaryens, in one fell swoop? That's just Cersei Lannister for you. You don't really know what could happen. Anything is possible. But my issue with the whole entire thing with Sansa is that Sansa has basically, like you've said, she's been at the mercy of everybody, and she had to learn how to be a fighter, and she had to learn how to survive. And it's because of those survival instincts that she's had to learn that makes Sansa a risk moving forward. Because Sansa, up until this very moment, has been under the thumb of other people. She's had to conform. She's had to do what they say. She's been at their mercy. And finally, Sansa's finding herself in a position where she's not at the mercy of anybody else. She's the one in control. And the idea that Sansa would bow down or bend the knee to somebody and give that power back to them is what is scary for Sansa. I'm not saying that Sansa is in her mind right now plotting on how to get rid of Jon and how to get rid of Arya and how to get rid of the dragons and how to get rid of Daenerys. I don't think that's the case, but I do think that when she realizes that it is impossible for Jon to not bend the knee, or for Daenerys not to rule the Seven Kingdoms, or Jon reveals that he's a Targaryen, Sansa's going to feel her power slip away, and she's going to fight like hell to get her power back. And so the lessons that she's learned from Peter Baelish this whole entire time were how to manipulate the people around her and how to use them to advance her own position. And that is what Sansa knows right now. She knows how to manipulate the people around her and how to use those manipulations to advance herself into the best position possible. And I think that is going to be the course that Sansa follows moving forward until, well, the White Walkers are at their fucking door. And then in which case, who knows what Sansa's going to do? Everyone can say and they can do everything they want to do until the moment they fucking see the living dead sitting in front of them.
Exactly.
And they're like, everyone just, the idea that
changes the game for sure.
And so everyone is considered that there's going to be this huge issue between Jon and Daenerys moving forward once he finds out that he's a Targaryen, that everyone in the North is going to be mad that he's a Targaryen, that he's not actually this, that he's not that.
Everything they're dealing with the Great War, though.
Everything that they know up until this very moment is a lie.
Right.
Everything that everyone knows up until this very moment is going to be a lie. And then Jon's story is going to come out and everything is going to be revealed to them in a way that they're going to be like, what the fuck, where was I? So now we don't hate the Targaryens. Now we hate the fucking Baratheons. Now we hate this person. We hate that person. You know what I mean? But none of it is going to matter at the very end of the day, because the bottom line is that Jon Snow is the only fucking person who knows how to fucking defeat the dead. Daenerys has 3 dragons. She's not a fucking commander. She doesn't get on the ground. She doesn't fight with a sword. You know what I mean? It's somebody's gonna have to be hand on hand on the ground. And if the Night King can't be defeated by Dragonfire, which he can't because we watched him walk straight through it last season, you know what I mean? Like it's a hand-on-hand battle. Daenerys isn't going to be the winner of the Dawn for that. It's going to be somebody who's fighting on the ground. It's either going to be Sam and Jon, Arya, Sam and Jon, Arya, Sam and Jon and Jorah. It's going to be somebody. But I want to just say, going back to Sam really quick, is that at the Tower of Joy, Ned Stark. If we're to believe that Jon Snow is Ned Stark reborn, right? Which he's not. But if we're supposed to believe that he's just like Ned Stark, right? Howland Reed was at the Tower of Joy, and he saved Ned Stark's life by stabbing Arthur Dayne in the back, right? Arthur Dayne was supposed to be the best swordsman in all of Westeros, right? The best swordsman right now is between Jon Snow and the Night King at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jon Snow. Now you have a parallel: Jon Snow, the Night King, Samwell Tarly. Then you have Ned Stark, Arthur Dayne, Howland Reed. Samwell Tarly is Jon Snow's Howland Reed.
Right. That would be very interesting.
So you see what I'm saying? It's going to be fought on the ground. So all I'm saying is that Sansa's issue is going to be surrendering power and having faith that doesn't mean her own doom. And I don't know if Sansa has that in her right now. Sansa's still very much fucking scarred by what happened to her.
So
when you cage a bear or an animal, a wild animal, you can't expect to release them and not have consequences for that. And Sansa is anything.
Very true.
Sansa is nothing if not a caged beast.
I agree.
So I want to say something about you, Trin. Okay, you say Sansa is going to be the Stark of Winterfell. Why can't Jon be the Stark of Winterfell? And I'll tell you why.
He's not a Stark.
There was a time when the Stark line was almost extinguished. Okay, we all Bael the Bard.
Mm-hmm. But we don't know if that's a fact. I've actually done all the histories. There's no fucking lord. There's no lord since Conquest that was named Brandon that had one daughter, only one singular daughter, and it had to have been after Conquest because they mentioned the King's Road, and the King's Road wasn't made until after Jaehaerys Targaryen. So there's something else going on here. It's not necessarily true.
Well, let's just stick to if it's true. No, I don't want to go down a deep hole there. I just want to say that the Stark line was almost extinct until there was a bastard, so that Jon could be the Stark. I just want to say it out there. I love Sansa. I think Sansa's going to stay in Winterfell. I think she's going to live. I don't think she's going to betray Jon. Do you have any comments?
I have one last little thing that I wanted to say, and I want to backtrack just a little bit. So, yes, she could be the Stark in Winterfell, and you guys make a great point, everybody who said there probably won't be a Winterfell at the end. That's fine. When you think about Sansa's arc and what's left to do for Sansa, who are the other villains on the table? Sansa is not fighting the Great War. She has nothing to do with that. She's not a fighter. She doesn't know. She's going to be very much focused on just surviving through those battles and that war. However, down south, she knows Cersei. She knows Cersei very well, and she knows Cersei's game. And so I think Sansa and Tyrion are going to know how to defeat Cersei Lannister. And
They're
that's
smart. They're
where
Targaryen.
her well yeah. But they might do that. But and because Sansa knows Arya's like abilities now, she might just say, "Hey, this is what you need to be doing," and she's on your list already. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in. We do have a lot of comments. Ollie said Sansa is awesome. No, wait, I meant Arya. John Serbeck says Sansa is the most pragmatic Stark left, and if anyone would betray Jon or Dany for the greater good, she would. Arya wouldn't.
Exactly.
Biggie says, please HBO, for the love of God, you can't have leaked episodes in the final season. Get the FBI and the CIA and protect Game of Thrones.
They're not
Don't
leaking
do it.
nothing.
Give me every episode.
Yeah.
They're
I'll
not
take it.
leaking nothing.
No.
I'm telling you right now, they're not leaking nothing, man. I'm telling you. That thing's
I mean,
so
there's a
tight
lot
secret.
of really great theories, but yeah, there's no leaking.
They're not gonna leak it this year.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be so
Mhm.
shut down. Yeah, that's not happening.
So Big E, or John Serbeck's talking to Big E, says, I agree 100%. Watched 2 episodes on my small phone last season, not nearly as good. Big E says, no way she will betray Jon and her family 100%. Ollie says, Arya was to the Westeros royalty as Robert Smith was to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame until 3 days ago, that is. So for people who don't know, Robert Smith is the lead singer for The Cure.
Yo, that is lit right there.
That's good.
What a shot.
Yeah.
Speaking of
shots were fired.
speaking of rock and roll, the actor who plays Ramsey, I'm not even gonna try and attempt his name. He's in this new movie on Netflix called The Dirt, and he plays one of the Motley Crue
Oh, really?
That show, I've heard, just side project, just the sidebar. I've heard that show is so, the movie, I'm sorry, it's a movie, is so freaking good and real and on point about Motley Crue. So you should watch it. I've heard nothing but good things about that movie.
He plays the lead guitarist. I don't know his name. Something Mars. I can't remember.
Are you talking about the bassist or are you talking about the guitarist? Nikki Sixx was a guitarist.
No, was he not the lead guitarist? Mars?
So John Serbeck says,
okay, go finish it.
Sansa learned from the best. Littlefinger, Cersei, Tyrion, and even the Boltons to some degree. She knows how to, quote, play the game. Ollie says the newfound feeling of power that Sansa's discovering might prove to be too intoxicating for her to act in a manner that is honorable and loyal to her kin, as opposed to acting in a manner that will maintain and or obtain more of that power. They should open a Game of Thrones themed chain. Oh, sorry, I lost it. Game of Thrones themed chain that sells pastries. They should name it Hot Pies. Actually, Ollie, the actor who plays Hot Pie owns a bakery in
Get the hell out of here.
In London. I swear to God.
No, he does. He does.
I don't know if it's called Hot Pies. Is it called Hot Pies?
I don't know
It's
that.
not called Hot
But
Pies.
No.
But I do know that was a fun fact that I was told about.
It's something like the Game of Thrones themed though, like the name of it is. I'll Google it in a second.
That's hilarious.
John Serbeck says, has Jon ever defeated the dead? I remember him losing in Hardhome, riding away on Dany's dragon, etc. And riding away on Dany's dragon. Or
that would depend on what the definition of defeating the dead is, though. I would assume
he, quote, knows how to win against the dead. You know the old saying, you know nothing, Jon Snow. So he has killed White Walkers. So he does know how to do
the general.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's as far as anybody's done.
Not the White Walkers. So he said, what's the Ollie asked, what's the show called? With the movie that you guys
called The Dirt. It's a movie on Netflix called The Dirt.
Okay. Biggie said didn't recognize him until the end. The Dirt. Okay, somebody else. Dirt. Nikki Sixx was the bass. He said, cool, I'll have to check that out.
Oh, Nikki was the bass. Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, so that's all the comments caught up for Sansa.
So let's move on to our next character, the king of the friend zone, Sir Jorah Mormont.
So Jorah?
King of friend zone.
He'll always be in Danny's friend zone, man.
I just don't like Jorah, gosh.
It's friend zone. Trin, you could go first.
Okay. Freaking Jorah. So it gets confusing because they took Jorah's storyline in the show and like they hodgepodged it with some other people's book arcs.
John Connington.
Yeah. The whole
It's so-
grayscale thing. John
Yeah,
Connington.
it's so fucking stupid.
And he did kidnap Tyrion, but then they got kidnapped by some
love
other
that.
people, and like the slavers, and then Brown Band Plum came, whatever. Anyway, I did finish, by the way. Andrea, you'd be proud of me. I finished.
You finished which one? Oh, you did?
Nice and
Wait, hold on.
slow.
Wait, when's it winter? What are you talking about?
I mean, I Dance with Dragons.
I was like, wait, hold on. Do you have something I don't have? What is going on here right now?
Still
Explain
waiting
yourself.
on that one.
I was about to lose my mind. What do you mean?
Yeah.
He contacted you?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a leak. Just kidding.
Damn you, George.
So Jorah Mormont, he's gonna fight. We did see in the trailer that he's got Hurricane, which is cool. So we know he's gonna be slaying some generals. But he's got a bit of a redemption arc as well, because he betrayed his own family basically by getting kicked out, out of Westeros. He's got an honor, his own house honor, his own family name to kind of
Our exiled knight.
Yeah. So he's always wanted to go home, and now he's home, and so he's gonna make the best of it. And I think him dying in battle would be his character's way of making up for everything, like dying for Dany and dying for the cause, to save
Dying for doing the
Westeros.
right thing instead of doing the wrong
Right.
thing.
Exactly. So I think that's Jorah's arc, and I think he's gonna have to die.
I agree.
For that to be fulfilled. It sucks because he's gonna die for love, and he's gonna die for honor. But I think that will be
an
his
old man
fulfillment.
anyways. Time for him to go.
Sure.
He survived grayscale. I mean, seriously, Ned Stark didn't survive getting his head cut off. So Jorah can go. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no love in me for anybody around here, I swear.
Right?
No, okay. I love Jorah for a lot of things. I hate Jorah. I don't think I've forgiven him still for his fucking weakness and obviously his pettiness, but I do appreciate the fact that Jorah got over himself and realized that Jon is a better man, and Jon is what's best for Dany at this point, and he can give Dany what he can't. I think that's super important for everybody, and especially for Jorah, but I don't see his arc surviving this last season, period. I mean, he survived 8 seasons. That's accomplishment enough, Jorah. You can retire now. It's fine.
So with Jorah Mormont, I remember when I first started reading, Jorah in the books, and then I was kind of disheartened that it was a little bit of a stray from where the books had him when I watched the show. But I actually liked the show version more than I liked the book version when I first started to watch Game of Thrones. At first, I really liked him as kind of Dany's protector, never realizing that he was, well, I mean, I knew because of reading the books, but he was betraying her, you know what I mean? In essence. But what an arc he's had to go through.
Right.
Are this, guy that is, she relies on you for so many things, and then she finds out you betrayed her, but you've always been relegated in that friend zone. He's like the master of the friend zone. And then you get really fucked and you get grayscale, and you're like, ah, shit, now what do I do? And then you have to go away. Dany sends you away, so she doesn't want you near her, but then realizes, oh shit, he could probably die. I should probably, put aside my anger and help this man, which I think showed a very honorable thing with Dany's character at that moment. because, she could have just turned her back on him. But instead she said, no, you're going to go, you're going to figure out what this is. You're going to get help. And then come back to me. And he comes back and he, obviously there's Sam, who learned how to fix it and cure it and what have you. I would hate for Jorah to go through all of that he has gone through in the friend zone to be killed by a damn White Walker. That would really suck. But I think that is inevitable because you don't see anywhere else Jorah can go at this. I mean, the character in general. I don't see any benefit to keeping him around. I mean, he's not even the best swordsman. And it was like Andrea said, he's getting older now. So there's really not much upside to keep Jorah around because unless Tyrion no longer stays the hand to the queen, then we have some stuff going to happen. But, I don't know. I want Jorah to kind of survive because I kind of want him to just the big old two, middle fingers up to everybody that all the shit he had to go through. I've always liked Jorah's character. He was always conflicted, and within his own self and even his own story with the reason why he had to go to Essos, So I don't know where Jorah goes. I don't see. Of course, I want all these characters to survive. I don't want the show to end, but people are going to have to die. I mean, the winter is coming, and they can't stop this from happening. So people are going to die, and I have the feeling that Jorah is going to be one of those unfortunate ones that falls.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think he dies at the Battle of Winterfell. I do want to see. I don't know if we're gonna get it this year. I do want to see an interaction with him and Lyanna Mormont because I think that's gonna be a very interesting, very fun interaction between those two. So
Yes.
yeah, I can't see him living. I gotta say, I think he'll die heroically. Probably at the Battle of Winterfell. There's nothing more. Like I can't see where he fits after all this. I mean, unless anyone else has anything to say about Gerard, do we have comments?
John Serbeck says same thing that you just mentioned, John. Speaking of Mormonts, where is Lyanna in the trailers? She should have been in your girls just want to have fun jib jab video. So for people who want to know what that's all about, I made a couple of jib jab videos and I put them up on our Facebook page, and I used the Game of Thrones characters faces in them, and one was a girls just want to have fun, and I took like Arya and Sansa and Cersei and Marjorie and Brienne. And I think I made them on a jib jab video. It was very funny. And then Big E said that a new tease trailer just aired on HBO. I didn't know they were dropping one tonight.
Wow. Thanks a lot, HBO.
I know. I just looked on HBO. I looked on YouTube. I looked on HBO Now, and I'm not finding anything. So I'm not exactly sure where they're talking about, but I am looking for it while we're talking. So.
Me too.
Was it
Me
after?
too.
It must have been after Veep, right?
No, because Veep's not on yet.
Yeah.
Veep comes on like 10:30.
Our next character in the list
is
Theon Greyjoy.
Oh boy.
I still think he's killing Euron Greyjoy. I'm sticking by this. Trin, you can go first.
So I heard a really good theory, and I don't think it's a leak, but I really like. I think this could be what they actually do, because it makes sense, especially if you've read the books. As far as Theon's arc, and the Greyjoys are, the sea power. They're our ship people, our force on the water. And you've got the Golden Company coming over with Euron. And I don't know that the Golden Company will stay on Cersei's side. And if they do decide to go help with the Great War, I feel like it would be under Theon as the admiral of that whole thing. And there's a whole bunch of references and information on that in the books. So if you're not a book reader, it wouldn't make any sense, or it would make less sense. But
did we just lose Trin?
I think we just lost Trin. Go. You can go, Julie.
Well, I mean, for me, I think. Hold on, I think she's coming back.
sorry.
Okay, good. She's back.
Finish what you're saying, Trin.
You were on a roll. I didn't want to stop you.
No, I know it's stupid Skype. Sorry, fans. I lost what I was saying. Anyway, Theon, he was in that same boat where he wanted to have power, and he was trying to take power, and he betrayed the Starks, and he betrayed, everything, lost everything, and he even betrayed his own sister by jumping off the ship and not even attempting to save her. So he's got a lot of redeeming to do, and it was a really good conversation, an intimate conversation that him and John had in Dany's throne room, where he was like, "You're a Stark and a Greyjoy. Go be everything that you were supposed to be. Go rescue Yara." I don't know that he's gonna kill Euron, because I just don't think that's like, I just don't think that they're gonna equip him like that. But he is going to save Yara. I think it's going to be like a stealthy kind of thing where they go in and stealthily get her back. But anyway, yeah, that's that. His arc is one of pain and suffering and betrayal, and coming to the knowledge that like family means the most. And it's interesting that his house words are, what is dead may never die, and he's a survivor to what end? It's when you think about like, why did Theon of all people survive? Why is he going on this mission to do something big? What are they keeping him around for in his arc? And he kind of did die because he became somebody else. He became Reek. And then when he finally got Theon back, it was really through his sister that he got himself back. His sister was the one that brought him back and gave him sort of like his bravery back, and was like, "No, you are Theon Greyjoy." And she was sort of like pulled that out of him. So what is dead may never die. I think Theon, the cocky little whoring Theon that we saw at the beginning, is dead, and now we've got like a new reborn Theon who will hopefully redeem himself in not just saving his sister, but in helping in the big picture in the Great War.
Does he live or die?
I don't see what good it would do to kill him after all this, so I think he has a good chance of living.
Does he join the battle? Either, probably not at Winterfell. Does he join the last battle at King's Landing?
Maybe. I mean, he's always been an archer, so he can ride well. He's a good archer, and he has ships, and he's not a great sailor, but I mean, he'd be useful in a battle. He's not completely useless.
He's also a good swordsman because he fought with Robb Stark in most of Robb's early battles, like before he was sent to Pike.
Robb really wasn't a good swordsman, though.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about Theon. Theon fought next to Robb, so he has battle experience, right? So he fought. Yeah. He was with Robb for like the first, I would say, like 3 or 4 battles.
Yeah, but he wasn't like
Pike. But I mean,
badass.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't know, but we know he's got that experience of battles. So I could see him doing something in a battle. Julie.
So I'm gonna shake this one up a little bit. I'm going to tell you what I think happens with Theon before I go through. I started to think about this, when John Stamos and I were having that battle back and forth a couple episodes ago about what we think potentially happened to Theon and all that stuff. I actually started to think about it. I actually started to go back into my note-taking database that I did when I was watching episodes before we would come on and do live, play-by-play of what we remembered from the show. And there was a couple of things that stood out to me about Theon, which I think led me to this hypothesis. I think Theon dies, but here is how I think Theon dies. I think Theon does get onto the ship. I think he does get Yara free. And I think there is a battle that will ensue. I think it'll be raining. It'll be on the top deck of the ship between Yara, the uncle, I can't remember his name. Yara, Euron, and Theon. God, try saying that 3 times fast, everybody, okay? That's an impossible feat right there. And I think it's going to be this battle. And I think Theon is going to do what he's done in the other battles where he kind of cowers. He's not sure what to do. Where Yara is like, she's getting the shit kicked out of her, but she's still fighting, because she's one badass bitch. And I think Theon snaps out of whatever it is that's got him so scared to fight. You noticed it on so many occasions where he could have, stood up for himself and overpowered, but he's so broken down because when he became Reek, they ripped him down. They broke him down little by little. And I have a feeling that Theon is going to jump up and he is going to take control of the battle. And I think it's going to be really hard for him to fight his uncle Euron, but I have a feeling that it'll be so epic that he will either stab him in the heart while Euron kills him at the same time. But I think that is how Theon's arc will end. I think he will go out with redemption. He will find his redemption, and need I say, his balls. He'll find his balls again. I feel like, and I agree with Trin, why keep Theon in the game this long if he doesn't have a part to play? You could have, no offense, you could have killed him off last season. If he had no basis to anything that's going to happen coming up or no substantive contribution, why not just have the guy on the beach kick the shit out of him and kill him right then and there? What is dead may never die. And I guarantee you that will be the last word he says as his sister holds him as he glugs on his blood. What is dead may never die. And his sister will carry on because she's just badass. But I don't know. I feel like that's something that could potentially happen. He'll get on the ship. He'll get her free. But what happens after that is going to be the more caveat to the whole thing. As far as Theon in general, I never had a problem with the character. I actually kind of liked that he was, this, kind of ratty looking guy. And he was, going out to the whorehouses all the time and basically telling Jon, hey, you got to get some, and ribbing Jon Snow about him not, doing anything.
Yeah.
And I kind of, and then, he goes and betrays Robb. Mm. And I think for me, that was where I said, fuck you, Theon Greyjoy. Fuck you, Theon Greyjoy. How dare you betray Robb Stark? And I think that's when I started to really hate him. And then I kind of felt for him when he was being tortured by Ramsay and then, got his twig and berries taken away from him. And then you kind of felt really bad for him when he was Reek and going through that whole thing. You just wanted Theon to snap out of it at some point. I remember I was watching one of the episodes and even though I've read the books and I know what's going to happen, I kept thinking, come on, Theon, just break out of it. Just break out of it, please. Because you want to root for him. You do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, he paid the ultimate price when he betrayed Robb. And that is the ball game for me.
Do you think that, remember when he comes up, he meets Jon on the shores of Dragonstone and Jon says to him, the only reason I'm not killing you is because what you did for Sansa.
Yes.
And And then they have that talk in the throne room, Dany's throne room, where he's like, you're Stark and a Greyjoy. Do you think because Jon basically forgave him or was giving him the Stark family forgiveness for all of that, like, you think there's still unfinished business with his redemption as far as the Starks go, or do you think now it's more the Greyjoy side? You know what I'm saying?
I think his redemption with the Starks will come down ultimately to Sansa and Arya. Arya's going to have it as more of a as a military aspect because of, you know, the way in which he betrayed Robb. And maybe if Theon hadn't betrayed him and left and be banished, maybe Robb wouldn't have gotten himself into the mess he did when he went to, you know, the Red Wedding, right? So I think, but for Sansa, I think hers is going to be deeper with the fact of, you know, Theon pretending to burn her brother. So I think, I don't know how much of Jon Snow knew of that information of Theon burning, you know, Winterfell. I don't know how much Jon knew of that, but if Jon is basically blanket saying, listen, you protected Sansa, you helped her, you saved her in her moment when she needed it the most, you know, if he's basically saying we're square, I think the family has to then say, okay, that's it. You know, so now his redemption is, the redemption for him is within the Greyjoys. It's not for his sister. It's not the redemption with his uncle. It's the redemption of his dead father. He has to redeem himself in that light because, you know, his father always thought of him as a disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that there's this, you know, his father always loved Yara more. His father always wanted Yara was the one that he basically groomed, and he sent Theon away to the Starks, you know. So, well, he didn't really send him away. It was kind of like a prisoner captor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, so that's, I think for Theon's arc, it's going to be the redemption for the spirit of his father and his sister. You know, I think with the Starks, I think that chapter is done. I don't think Theon goes back to Winterfell. I don't think Theon gets anywhere near that battle. I think Theon's arc and everything is going to be on that ship when he gets Yara out of the cage and they battle it out.
So let me just understand something here, and I want everyone to know, you agree with me that Theon is going to kill Euron and die at the same time? Is that what you're saying?
I you know, the more I thought about it, the more that I went through old episodes and the more I went through note taking that I had done in previous shows and rereading a lot of Theon's history, I can see that is something that could occur given the right circumstances. You know, I think, and Trin brought up a very valid point. Why keep him this long if he doesn't contribute something? So that's kind of where my thought process is.
To the big war,
Correct.
The great war.
Right, to the overall thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only is Theon, if Theon kills Euron, it's not only just a benefit to him and to Yara, it's also a benefit to Cersei. Because now Cersei doesn't have to marry him. He doesn't have to keep that part of her word. Because there's going to be a situation where Cersei's going to have to pay up that portion.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when that's going to occur. We don't know how. She may not have to, but there's going to be something that comes around there. And I have a feeling that Theon will get on the ship. I think, in essence, John, I can agree. I can understand what you were saying, but I think it's going to be even deeper than that, where I think Theon does have that moment again where he cowers, but I think he then snaps out of it somehow. Something is going to snap him out of it, and he's going to fight.
So before I get to Andre, 1 second, I want to say something. Trin, Chris laughed at me about this theory. Laughed at me. And the fact that Julie changed her mind, it makes me so happy. You say about snapping. How about this? So Euron's kind of like, he's a strategist. He's kind of like, he's very smart. He knows Theon, maybe he's going to come after him, right? So what if Theon sneaks on board ship, he goes on the cell, but then he finds Yara dead, already, and it's like a trap, and that could be what snaps Theon out of it because he's seeing his dead sister. Because Euron's that crazy. He could be like, I'm pretending to keep her alive, but really she's already dead. And then when Theon gets there, Ara's dead, and he just snaps, and then he fucking goes after Euron and kills Euron. So, I mean, I could see that. I just have a feeling they're gonna fight either way.
Well, I don't think Yara's dead yet. I don't think she's dead yet.
But don't you think that's something Euron could do? Like, just kind of like, psychological, like, be like, I know he's gonna come after Yura. I'm gonna set this trap, and it's gonna fuck his mind up, and then I could kill him too. I feel like something Euron could do something like that.
The issue with that, though, is that he's already done that, and so that's playing the same game twice. He did that when he captured Yara in the first place. The whole entire thing with him capturing Yara and telling little Theon to come and get her was a mind fuck to get him to go back into PTSD, to get him to spiral backwards, to get him to dig back inside of himself, to basically break Theon. If Euron wants to beat Theon a second time, he has to do it a different way. So, does anybody know what the name Theon means? It means godly. And Aaron says all the time, a godly man, no ungodly man can sit the sea stone chair. Theon legitimately means godly. Now, he can't have any heirs. He's castrated. So the idea of him being the heir to Pike is a little bit preposterous because at this point, unless he has a bastard somewhere, he can't further his line. So it would make more sense for Yar to survive this, correct? And I think that he will. I think that she will survive this, but I don't think that she's going to come back intact. In fact, I think that the point of this whole entire story is that everybody that we started with the story with is not going to be the same person they were at the very end. Arya will not be Arya. Jon will not be Jon. He's going to be Egon, obviously, but he's also not going to be the same person who he was. Every person is going to be irrevocably changed, and as to will Yara be irrevocably changed. She won't be the same person that she was when she's rescued, if she's rescued at all. I don't think that Theon is going to survive this. I think that he's going to give his life for his sister. I don't think that his redemption comes in with a Balon, though. I don't agree with that at all because I don't think that he has anything to prove to Balon anymore. He abandoned his brothers, his real father that lost his head in King's Landing. He betrayed the family that fucking raised him and loved him and nurtured him and treated him like they were one of his own because he felt like he had to choose between being Greyjoy and Stark. The whole entire purpose of that conversation between Jon and Theon last season was for Theon to understand that you don't have to choose. There's nothing for you to redeem yourself for. You don't have to redeem yourself in the Stark's eyes. You don't have to redeem yourself in the Greyjoy eyes. You are who you are. You're both of us. You know what I mean? Theon's redemption, the next redemption for Theon, will be him finally saying, all of this happened. I made really fucked up decisions, but they made me who I am right now. I am who I am because of them, and it's not going to stop me from doing what I need to do. Theon's redemption is going to be for himself. It won't be for Sansa. It won't be for Jon. It won't be for Bran or Rickon. It won't be for Balon Greyjoy or Euron Greyjoy or the Iron Islands. It'll be specifically for Theon, and he will die knowing that he was a person who died with honor because he didn't betray the people who meant the most to him in the very end. That's Theon's redemption.
Well said. Comments, Trin?
Yes, we do have some silliness in the chat. John Sorbeck said that maybe they want us to root for Theon and then he dies a meaningless death. This is Game of Thrones after all. Story arcs may not lead to anywhere. They love to pull the rug out from under the fans. I think Theon slips on a banana peel and falls off the ship and drowns the end.
Yeah.
And we did get some more people talking about we've got a chatter named 1998 Champions said that the new Game of Thrones trailer just showed up on AMC during The Walking Dead. And people are talking about it in our chat, the different things that are going on. There's some new scenes, and I actually brought it up on Twitter, and I could see that somebody recorded it. There's some shots, some footage of Tyrion, and
yeah, I saw that. I was looking at that.
And there's some footage of Varys is outside looking up.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a change from the
being
trailer.
in the crypts. Yeah. You see Cersei. It looked like there was fire around her, and then you also see Beric Dondarrion's flaming sword. We hadn't seen that in the recent trailer. So yeah.
Wait, hold on. What recent trailer?
I don't see anything on Google though. Like I'm
looking at
googling
it right. I'm
this.
looking at it right
Okay,
now.
go to
There was a
Twitter.
video-
Go to Twitter and
Go
do
to Twitter. and then-
hashtag Game of Thrones, and it was 17 minutes ago. Somebody uploaded it.
Yeah. So what you do is you go to Twitter, click on the magnifying glass, type
Got
Game
it.
of Thrones, and it'll do top, and it'll give you what everybody's talking about, and that's how you'll see it.
Yeah. So that's our best way of getting the the quickest.
Yeah, it's
for you
showing
guys.
a couple more scenes
52 seconds.
of the ships. It's showing a couple more scenes of Danny.
I think they recycled some of the scenes from the actual trailer in
Yeah,
there.
but the one with the burning sword we didn't see before.
Correct.
The
There are
one
multiple
where
burning swords this season.
Varys is looking up and it looks like he's watching a dragon fly.
Yeah.
There's a little glimpse of Cersei. She looks a little scared.
Yep.
I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
most
I'm
of the
looking at
old ones. They just threw a little bit new. like,
Stop
I-
teasing us.
Yeah.
Well, we
that's
got
what
2
it
weeks
is.
away, Julie. Just 2 weeks away.
I know.
So
It's
Dude,
coming. It's
so
coming.
long,
just
bro.
to let everyone know, this is the last show. Will be on Sundays for about 6 weeks. We'll be doing Mondays when the season 8 premiere on April 14th. We'll be doing Mondays, around 8:30. So if you want to check us out, go to YouTube/Behind Iron Throne and check us there. You can subscribe and you can check us out and leave our
Yes.
comments. And then after that,
Get
so
the
after
little
the season-
notification bell, guys, so that you can join us live because you will get the notifications coming up on your phone.
And
Yeah,
you
that
can also-
notification will show you exactly when we go live.
You can also download as well as anywhere you get your podcasts. And then after the season, we'll be covering more in depth each episode on the regular Sunday, as we always do. So just to let you guys know that. Let's move on to our next character, which is
Tyrion.
Tyrion Lannister.
Ugh, so much.
So much to talk about this guy here. Trin.
Well, somebody earlier said that they think Samuel Tarly was George R. Martin's sort of I think it was Julie that said it, and she's away from AFK right now. But I think that George has mentioned in interviews before that the character that he kind of portrays, like the closest to him, his own sort of character would be Tyrion. And so
He said Tyrion, yeah, and then Archmaester
Maribald?
Not Marbald. It was not Ambrose,
Marwyn? No.
No, not Marwyn. It was some other Archmaester, Yandel. Archmaester Yandel was his counterpart.
Was Tyrion's counterpart?
No, it was George R. Martin's.
Oh, okay.
But I can understand why people would think it would be Sam, considering that Sam is our scholar and he's the guy
Yes.
who does all the research and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
it's easy to confuse the two, but via George R. Martin, he says he's Archmaester Yandel.
Yeah. So Tyrion's very cheeky. You know, he's everything bad and good. He is our most human experience in the whole show, I think, because you see him and he's got dealt this crappy hand in life, but it's not really crappy because he is grateful. Yeah, he is grateful that he was born to a noble house, but at the same time he was stunted and he's an imp and he gets made fun of and looked down on. So he kind of has to have this balance. He's humble, but at the same time, he thinks he's the smartest person in the room at all times. He really truly believes it. Yeah, and he is in a lot of ways. But his vulnerability is that he wants to be good, but he is constantly doing bad things.
I don't agree with that necessarily. I don't necessarily think that Tyrion wants to be good. I don't think that Tyrion has any reservations on whether he's good or bad. He just kind of does what he wants to do regardless.
I don't know. I think it's something in him, the human part of him makes him innately want to be good, but he's always having to overcome like, being a drunken little leisure or whatever. And and like he's got a lot of things that he's always trying to overcome. Meeting Danny was really good for him at that specific point in his journey because he started to really she gave him the respect based on his own merit that
No,
he
the
had
fact he was
never got. Yeah, and that he had never gotten from anybody before. It was on his personal merit, not because of his name or any of his background or anything like that. So that started to really build him up as a whole man. You know what I mean? Like, because he was never a whole man before that.
Right, just a half
So
man.
yeah, he was a half man. So anyway, he's gonna make it to the end for sure. Absolutely,
You
for
think he's
sure.
gonna live?
I think he will absolutely live
I don't know.
because I just politically George R. R. Martin is gonna make this into a democracy, and Tyrion is one of the diplomats. So I think the monarch will fall.
I agree with you in everything but that.
Dragon
I
has
think
Danny
he's
wants-
very smart.
Danny wants to break the wheel.
I
and
think
that's
he's
how
very.
it's gonna happen.
I think he's. I always said this. I'm gonna say it again. Breaking it back up to 7 different kingdoms.
I don't agree with that.
I don't want to go into this because I want to keep it moving. I just want to say that Tyrion is smart, but he's a terrible strategist because you had 4 freaking armies and you ended up losing 2. Like I never understand Tyrion. You're an idiot when it comes to battle strategies. You're terrible. You had 4 armies and you almost lost.
I mean Blackwater was
armies.
his idea, and he did a
Okay,
great job
but
there.
at the same time, you had the Tyrells, you had the Dorne, you had the Thraki, and you had the Unsullied. Okay, how are you not just attacking King's Landing by land and by sea? I mean, it makes no sense. You should attack by land and sea. King's Landing. Oh, you're gonna take Castle Rock because you want to stick it to Cersei and Jamie.
That's not why he took Castle Rock.
Oh, I don't care.
He took Castle Rock because it was his own selfish gain, and Tyrion isn't
was.
playing against his sister and his brother.
I agree.
He's playing against. He's trying to keep them alive while also getting what he wants.
I just think that he had 4 armies and 3 dragons, and you should have just attacked King's Landing. Boom. Anyways, Julie, what do you have to say about Tyrion?
Tyrion, this is what I'm gonna say. He's the god of tits and wine. Okay.
Yes, he
And
is.
that is all I that's it. Like, come on. Like, I drink and I know things. That's what he said.
Exactly.
I drink and I know things. He's very
Yes.
I agree with Andrea. He doesn't live by any code. He lives by his own code.
He doesn't have a moral compass.
He doesn't care. Like, I'm
He
gonna
does.
walk to the wall. I'm gonna piss off the top of the wall. You know why? Because I fucking can. And then I'm gonna go and shoot my father on the shitter. You know why? Because I can. That's just who he is. But I have a feeling that he's going to be faced with a moral compass. Because obviously, we saw a little bit of it. Last season when they brought the White Walker to Cersei to show her. He was trying to say, look how serious this is. This is not a joke. This is not a game. We're not trying to fuck with you. Like, we're telling you this is happening. This is what is coming. Whether you like it or not, this is what's on our doorstep. And I think I'm going to be one of those. I say he lives. I say Tyrion lives because why not? Fucking guy has been through so much. He can't go out like a bitch. He's got to survive. He's the god of tits and wine, damn it. And he drinks and he knows things and he's very educated. And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't realize how educated Tyrion really is. The books he's read. He didn't have a lot of friends. He wasn't able to because of, being the dwarf and he was locked away. So the only thing he could do was read. And I have a feeling that him and Sam would be really good friends because they're both like that. They both like to read. They both like to immerse themselves in that kind of stuff. Tyrion's a little bit different. He's just like, oh, whatever. Don't give a fuck. Sam's more thought process, plan it out, take care of things. You know what I mean? But I absolutely love Tyrion. Tyrion is one of my favorite characters. And, he has to live, damn it. That just has to be a thing. It has to happen.
I said this last week. Just think about that council that John's gonna be in. You got John, you got Davos, Tyrion, Sam, Jorah Mormont, Jamie Lannister. I mean, it's some of the smartest of like. It's just gonna be such a great. And then Varys is gonna be in there too. Like it's so he's gonna have such the minds. It's gonna be crazy that council man. So many guys advising. You got and it's different aspects too. Like you got Tyrion's brains. You got Sam's gonna bring what he has to bring. Brand, I forgot about Brand's gonna be in there too. So it's gonna be such a crazy. I can't wait I can't wait to see a scene where all those guys are in a room talking and planning. It's gonna be awesome. Andrea, your turn.
So everyone has this great idea about Tyrion living and all of this stuff. He's been this amazing character so far, and he has his own moral compass, and I don't believe he necessarily functions in the realms of good or bad. I don't think any of our characters do. So the idea that one of our characters is specifically inherently good, while some of them might be, functioning in shades of gray, is a little bit preposterous to me, because Tyrion is in those lines of gray too. He obviously understood that Sansa was in a fucked up situation when he married her, which is why he chose not to force her into his marital bed, right? It was a good thing. But at the same time, that didn't mean he didn't want her. You know what I mean? He did want her. He still desired her. You know what I mean? Tyrion, he goes where the wind blows, whatever is more beneficial to him at the time. He's not opposed to doing terrible things for reasons that benefit him, which is why I say that Tyrion's not morally ensconced in either good versus bad. Tyrion has the ability to do both, either good or bad. Just like he killed his father. He didn't have to kill his father, and he didn't do it just because he wanted to necessarily. I don't think he set out to murder his father, but he did. And he doesn't necessarily feel bad for it, and I don't think that he should. But then again, that just goes right back into the idea that everyone functions in varying shades of gray, not necessarily good or bad. There is no such thing. The idea that Tyrion has lived this long, 8 seasons, and is going to continue to live through to the end is slightly, in my opinion, a bit of wishful thinking. We have all the groundwork that suggests that Tyrion's going to betray Daenerys and Jon based on last season and some of the other dialogues, and we talked about this before. And I'm a firm believer that it's going to happen this season. I didn't think at first that Tyrion was going to betray Dany. I didn't think it at all, and I thought it was absolutely preposterous. For what reason would he take Cersei's side? And I don't think that it comes down to choosing Cersei over Daenerys and the end for Tyrion. I think that overall it's going to be a moral issue for Tyrion. Do I do this thing that's terrible for the right reasons in my mind, or I do this thing that's terrible for the wrong reasons in my mind? And I think that ultimately the thing that he does is going to be terrible, but he's going to think it was for the right reasons. And it may not be, you know what I mean? But that just comes down to the idea that Tyrion isn't perfect. He's never been perfect. He doesn't have all the answers. He doesn't know, what's going to happen. In the end of the day, he didn't know that his father was going to show up with Mace Tyrell in Highgarden during the Battle of Blackwater. But he did what he had to do. He burnt ships and children and men and all kinds of things alive with wildfire, because it was the easiest way to save other millions of people. Now he's thinking, if I can do something to save the whole country versus one city, then what will I do? And I think that that comes down to the moral dilemma that Tyrion might be faced with moving into season 8. So I don't know. I can't tell you if I think Tyrion's going to live or if he's going to die. I think that the idea of him living through the end is a little bit preposterous. I think that Arya is going to be our survivor. I don't think that Tyrion's going to be our survivor, but it's possible. I can't hear you, Julie.
Anyone else?
Oh, sorry. I'm saying that's interesting. I actually listening to you kind of go over that. It really puts a little bit more perspective as to, Tyrion, in light of what we know and what we think we're about to find out.
Exactly. There's any specific way that this can go, but Tyrion over the last season showed us that he could have done a bunch of different things. He has an amazing mind. He is extremely intelligent, and to say that he's not learned is ridiculous. He is ridiculously educated, and all of those things are great. But it doesn't. He's also too, in a sense, he's too learned for his own good. He knows too much. You know what I mean? Which means he doesn't know enough. You know what I mean? Because White Walkers aren't real, and Daenerys is supposed to break the wheel. But if Daenerys is supposed to break the wheel, then why does fuck does Jon's bastard status mean anything, right? If the wheel is going to be broken, then why do any of the standards that the Seven Kingdoms have set up for themselves pre Daenerys matter anymore? They don't. I don't think the Seven Kingdoms are going to be break back up into Seven Kingdoms. Otherwise, what the fuck was the point of conquering the Seven Kingdoms again? Danny's not going to conquer Seven Kingdoms just to break them up into Seven Kingdoms. The dragon has 3 heads. I think that it'd be preposterous to assume that any one specific family can rule 7 kingdoms for an extended amount of time. Even the Starks weren't able to do that. They ruled the North for 8,000 years, but only the North, not the whole of Westeros. They ruled the North for 8,000 years. They're the longest ruling family in all of Westeros, right? And now you have a king in the North, and now you have a new queen who's vying for the Iron Throne, and you have Dorne, who's basically been independent this whole entire fucking time. So what do? You break Westeros into regions. The dragon has 3 heads: one in the south, one in the central coast. one in the central portion of the land, and then you have one in the north. The dragon will have 3 heads. There will be 3 separate rulers, and it'll be a trinity of houses. I don't think that they'll break it back into seven kingdoms, and the Iron Islands will continue to function independently. It doesn't make any sense with all of them following under one specific overhead. So there'll be like an empress of just kind of hierarchy, and then you'll have, lesser kings or lesser queens. You know what I mean? And then they'll govern their own kingdoms, and those kingdoms will all work together in tandem with one specific ruling force, which will be the Crownlands. I mean, it's possible, but who knows? I don't even think that King's Landing is going to survive this, so I don't know. But I don't think we're gonna see the 7 kingdoms break up at all. Mankind did this before, and with the first Long Night, they were defeated, and the others were defeated, and then and it says it right in the World Book, rather than come together as a people and stay together, they all separated to different corners of the empire of the world, right? So you have the First Men that are in Westeros now. You have people from Valyria looking for a place to migrate. You know what I mean? You have people all over the place. Dothraki, haven't even came into existence yet. The point is that they fucked up when they defeated the White Walkers the first time. They separated. They didn't keep together, and because of that, all of the kingdoms, all the people remained separate. They remained others. They remained foreigners. They remained, all of these things that all of these words or names that Daenerys is being thrown at Daenerys for being a foreign invader. This is how Westeros has adapted to people who aren't from Westeros, and it's a perfect example of why it can't go like that the next time. The free folk can't go back north of the wall and live north of the wall and be separate, because they ended up being an enemy when they shouldn't have been the enemy in the first place. The point is that everyone who remains after this war is over is going to have to come together to create something that will last and to unify. So separating is just repeating the problem again. We're doomed to repeat our mistakes if we keep doing those things.
It's true.
I don't know. I still think they're breaking it up. I still think they're breaking up the 7 kingdoms. There's too much back. I just think they're breaking up the 7 kingdoms. It's just, you don't create a whole backstory of that just not to go back to it. Trin, do you have any comments?
Yes, we do. Ollie says Tyrion meeting Sam would be like Tony Stark meeting David Banner. Meeting of 2 great minds, which is awesome because they were both superheroes. And
see, Ollie, you and I are on the same page, my friend. We're on the same page.
And then he goes on to say that Tyrion killed his father because he betrayed him and slept with the woman he loved. I don't think that's why he killed his father. I just want to address that one little comment. Tyrion Tyrion diverted from his escape specifically to go to his father's chambers, not knowing that the woman he loved was there. Right. So he was going there to kill his father because he wanted revenge. Yeah, before he even knew. That was just icing on the cake and kind of gave him an out. Anyway, back to the comments. John Serbeck says, will we find out that Jaime/Cersei are Targaryens and that Tyrion is the only true son of Tywin?
Not in the show.
Yeah, I think it might be brought up in the books if they touch that at all. And then he says, will Dany survive long enough to decide whether or not to merge or separate the 7 kingdoms? We just talked about that. If Jon's the last one standing, I think he'd be cool with splitting it up again.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, he would. John would. But also, there's a thing about John that a lot of people... So everyone says John doesn't want to be king, and I think that we can all agree that he doesn't want to be a king. He never wanted to lead. Well, he did want to lead people. Actually, it's in the books where he said he wanted to one day, grow to be something else. Even a bastard can rise high in the Night's Watch. And then Lord Commander Mormont died, and he was elected Lord Commander, and he was like, "What the fuck? I didn't want to be Lord Commander." But you did, John. You did. The thing about it is that it's always the ones who are reluctant to lead who are the best to lead. And if John is able to defeat the Night King, it won't matter what he wants as far as the Seven Kingdoms go. They're going to look for somebody to lead them into a time of prosperity and peace and plenty. You know what I mean? And if John is the one who's able to do it, that's what people do. They turn to the people who they think are the most strong. That's the reason why we elected kings in the past, because we wanted to follow somebody who was strong. And who will be stronger than the person who can save humanity from the dead? You know what I mean? So whether he wants to or not, this is the people. They elected him king in the north. And if they elect him again, if he survives, he'll be the king of the Seven Kingdoms. You know what I mean? And that it is what it is. And he'll do it reluctantly, but he'll be the best person for the job because he doesn't want power. He doesn't hunger for power. And I think that's the biggest difference between all of our other rulers so far, is that of all of them, John doesn't hunger for power. He doesn't want anything to do with it. Even Sansa hungers for power, but John doesn't hunger for power at all. He has no taste for it. He just wants everyone to live and be happy and be peaceful and not fight anyone anymore. That's what John wants. And that's unfortunately why he's going to be the leader.
And he'd be cool with it.
So, any more comments, or can we?
Nope, that's all of it for.
So this one,
Tyrion.
we'll get to the next one. This one should be pretty fast because it is getting late. It is Grey Worm.
I love him.
He's Grey Worm's a soldier, and
He's dying.
I think
Battle
Oh
they
yeah,
Winterfell.
without a doubt, he's dying.
Dying battle
He's
Winterfell.
dying.
Yeah, they
He's
didn't
dead.
give him that much book time as they did in the show. In the show, they gave him a lot more
A lot
space.
more time, yeah.
As far as like his character goes, and he's a soldier. He's always just been a soldier, and I think I talked about this before when we were talking about like who's gonna make it to the end, and he's gonna die a heroic soldier death, and he's gonna be mourned by Missandei. But I don't know that.
Versus the Messiah.
Yeah, right. I just don't know how much of his like he's a fighter and he's gonna fight, but I don't know how much he besides that brings to the storyline and what his arc. He doesn't really have an arc, like he fell in love, but that was I don't know. I'm a little annoyed.
That's there to distract us.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed that they went that deep into the Missandei Grey Worm story, but then they left out, a whole bunch of stuff that they could have put from the books in. So
That's
it's
true.
whatever.
That is true.
It's-
But I'm not
it's
sad for the
whatever.
Missandei Grey Worm pairing, only because of everything. I think that Missandei deserves a little bit of happiness in her life.
Well, she's about to get really sad because she's
Well, I know, but can
she's
you
gonna
imagine
be
how
a
sad she
widow.
would have been loving somebody she could have never actually like kissed or expressed that to, whether she made love to him or not? Physically, because making love can be of the mind too. Obviously, she would have denied herself the opportunity to love even for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Or to release that with helpless abandon and freaking embrace it. You know what I mean? And I think that, the idea of her and Grey Worm finally, embracing that was beautiful. But it was a pretty piece of jewelry that was dangled in front of our faces just to distract us from the real
Yeah.
fucking story. That's a
Yeah.
fact. It was needless. It was definitely needless airtime. I could have used with something else happening in that minute and a half that it happened on the
Mhm.
show last season. But still, it's adorable. I am a little sad that they took some trailer time just to show us them kissing again, though. Like, could have given
Yeah.
us something else.
Yeah.
Anything. But I mean, obviously, there has to be some reason why Dave and Dan think it's important for freaking us to show it.
Yeah, I don't know though. Grey Worm just doesn't seem like he's that important. Like he doesn't have this huge backstory. Like
Right.
it's different with Jorah. Jorah's also a fighter. I think Jorah's gonna die an honorable death, like we talked about. Grey Worm will die an honorable death fighting for the cause in the Great War, but he doesn't have this big backstory that makes me attached to him.
I did think I read though that he's going to make it to King's Landing. So just so you guys know, we may see him in King's Landing. So he's not going to die like right away. Maybe, possibly. I think
Maybe
I
he kills Euron.
maybe.
Now you just fool me there. Stop.
I'd like to see the drowned god come and fucking eat his ass. If I'm being honest with you.
Julie.
I don't really have much to add with Grey Worm. You can just tell that he's a soldier. It's what he was born and bred to be, literally born and bred to be. I think the cute little love story between him and Missandei, I like that. It's adorable. But it wouldn't be Game of Thrones if everybody goes unicorns and rainbows. So
Yeah, it was a reason to show boobs.
That's true. It was a reason to show Missandei's boobs because they were fantabulous.
They were. Very nice.
But somebody's gonna die, and it's gonna be. I think they both die. I think Missandei and Grey Worm both die.
She's not a man.
She's
all
not.
Men, all men must die. So we're not men.
We got the last one here. We got the Night King, Trin.
Okay, so it took us a long time to get any kind of information about the Night King and his backstory. It was season 6 they finally told us. I think the Children of the Forest told us about how he came about and whatever. And there's a little more information in the books as well, hinting to him being a Stark and whatnot. And I think they go over that if you buy like the Blu-rays and you see like they do those little animated things with the actors' voiceovers.
My favorite part of the Blu-rays, by the way, people check it out. It's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, we don't have a character as far as character development on the Night King. We just see this being, and it's almost like he's supposed to be a metaphor maybe for some kind of force, and George R. R. Martin has talked about it, that he is global warming or climate change or whatever. So he hasn't really developed this character. So the Night King, and I think they actually didn't they say at some point in the books, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, that he was formerly a night man of the Night's Watch.
I think he is.
They think he was this was old Nan's story, maybe it was one of the Night's Watch, and
13 Force Commander.
Yeah, and he fell in love with the female White Walker or whatever, and then switched over.
And he ruled from the Night's Fort. And one day he was standing on top of the wall, and he saw a woman who was pale as the moon, with hair white as snow, from atop the wall. And he ran, and he caught her, and he made her his wife. And he brought her back to the Night Fort, and he crowned her as king. And when he gave her his seed, he gave her his soul. And over time, her and the Night King started committing these atrocities against the Brothers of the Night's Watch until Brandon the Breaker and Jorman Beyond the Wall came together to put him down for good.
So that's incorrect. Yeah, which is in direct conflict with the story that the Children of the Forest gave us, which was he was just a man, and they made him into the Night King.
Yeah, but you had to think about that when that situation happened, when the Children of the Forest were telling that story, you knew something was bullshit about it, because why would
nothing was bullshit about it.
No, but
bullshit about it. These are two separate stories and two different occurrences, and no one's paying attention to it. If the Night King caught the Night Queen beyond the wall, that means the wall was already built, which means that the Long Night had already been fought. Which means that this Night King is a second Night King. There's another one, which means that this Night Queen is more than likely Nisa. And the Night King is actually her husband, Azor Ahai.
Holy tinfoil.
Who fought her, who took his vows and guarded the realms of men, found her and brought her back, and she was already an other. After he drove his sword through her heart, this is all speculation, for the record. It has nothing to do with anything that I've caught in canon. It makes more sense, though, that after he defeated her, he pushed back the White Walkers. He caught his wife, Nisa, north of the wall in the haunted forest, and brought her back beyond the wall. Now, the White Walkers, they cannot cross the wall. We know that, right? But they can if they are brought through the wall, because Jon Snow and them brought through dead others before. So he brought her through the wall. She's not a White Walker. She's a white, or whatever the fuck. She's the first female, because when she gave him his seed, he gave her soul. And then Azor Ahai pushed his sword through her chest. taking her soul and combining it with Lightbringer, and the sword lit up with flame. Her soul was then put inside of the sword, right? That leaves behind a body. It doesn't mean their body was gone. What happens to the White Walkers? What happens to the Whites? They reanimate the dead. She was dead. She was reanimated, right? Everything that was her, all her warmth, everything that made her human is inside of that blade. Everything that's not is left behind.
I literally just got mind fucked there, everybody. Holy crap.
Julie,
Holy crap.
Julie, you can expect this when Andrea's on the show. She just she
Literally
does
just
this all
mind
the time.
fucked me right there.
She mind fucks
So
you.
the-
She mind fucks people all the time.
Is that the long night came twice. It didn't come just once, it came twice. And that's when Joramun came and blew the horn of winter. And that's when Brandon the Breaker came and freaking
You know what's so
passed out.
funny, Andrea? I have read that portion of the lore, and I never understood what it meant. I was
There's
yeah, I
two
was-
different like sort of accounts.
yeah, because I remember exactly what Andrea is saying. With the whole the play the seed, give the love, da da da. You know, his soul. I never put two and two together that they were two separate kings. Never did. Wow, mind fucked. Whoa.
So the theory is that the Night King isn't actually an actual person. The Night King is an idea, is a leader. Now, why the fuck were they looking
Right.
for Waymar Royce in the very beginning? Because they were looking for somebody with Stark blood. Obviously, Stark blood is important. So I wanted to get back to this really quick. You finish your stuff, Julie, actually, because my portion of this is going to come down to what I've been writing. But I don't necessarily think the first Night King was a Stark. I don't think that's true. I think that the Starks share blood with the Night King, the very first Night King. But I don't think.
So wait, wouldn't the first Night King have been the Children of the Forest rendition?
Well,
I
no,
think- I
they've
think
always said that the
yes.
first Night King was Bran the Builder, right?
No, they
No.
don't know
Builder
who the
came
first Night
after.
King was. They don't even know if Bran the Builder was real. To be quite honest with you, they don't
Okay.
know who the first King was. But okay, so the thing that happened with the Children of the Forest, I do believe, was a song that they sung that introduced winter, because the Children of the Forest are actually the singers of the earth, right? They sing
Right.
the songs of the earth. They make the seasons. They
Yeah,
create
they're like the
trees,
sprites.
the mountains. They basically built the earth, and all those tunnels that are underneath in the cave and all of those things. They built them through songs. So the first song was a song of summer. The second song was a song of winter, right? Except for
Right.
what something happened with the song of winter, and the White Walkers were created, right? So they created the White Walkers because their magic got out of hand. They used them as a way to defeat their enemies who were burning their trees and killing their kin, right? So what do? We take one of them and we use them against themselves. So that was their plan, right? That one was defeated, right? But a sacrifice had to be made. Azor Ahai had to sacrifice Nisa Nisa. The problem is that when he sacrificed Nisa Nisa, he just created the process over again, right? So there's something wrong with this story of Nisa Nisa and Azor Ahai.
Right.
The hero in the situation. I actually am of the opinion that the very first Night King was actually the Barrow King from the Barrowlands, because he, in the World Book, when he was defeated, he had sown his land with salt and placed a curse on his land, so no king would rise higher than him on his own land. And they said the people who would try to basically live off of his land would grow corpse-like in appearance, which means that this
Wow.
Barrow King, his powers were necromancy. So now you have a difference between Bran's powers, who can warg the living, and Barrow King, who can warg the dead, necromancy. So what does the Night King want? He wants the power to warg living and dead. He wants to be able to control people, which is why he's seeking the throne. He's not thinking if I rule people, then everything will be great. If he rules people, then they'll be under his control, and they'll
How do
rule
we
him no more
know?
war.
How do we know that that's what he wants, though? How do we know that he wants the throne?
We don't necessarily know that, but this is all for the throne, right? And that is exactly what it said on the preview, for the throne.
But of the same mindset though, he and Trin, you're right. We don't know. We don't know if
Right.
he wants the throne. We don't know if that's
They never developed his character.
They
right.
didn't, but
So
what he
I'm
is, but
thinking
what
they
he is,
just
he's
want
a
him
sniper.
to conquer.
I
That's
think he wants
possible.
to turn
But-
everyone
but
dead.
When you think about the overall thing about the White Walkers, though, here is that they are literally people who were living, who are now enslaved to the Night King, doing his will, doing his bidding. They have mental chains wrapped around them. He is a slaver, so he is in power, and they are at his will. Daenerys is the breaker of chains. Daenerys is the breaker of chains, and John's been trying to defeat the Night King the whole entire time. They're both literally fighting the same war on two different continents. Jon is breaking the chains of the Night King. Daenerys is breaking the chains of the slavers. So the Night King overall is in power over the dead, and he's enslaved them to his will. So if he can do this, they're one army with one purpose. They don't fight amongst each other. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. They slaughter, and then they just raise more people. That is why they're so effective and why they're so dangerous to the living, because the living can't get along. They have too many personalities. They have too many different vying, ideas. So nobody that's alive that has their own free will and their own mindset has the ability to command an army the way the Night King does. So what happens? What does the Night King want? He doesn't want war. George R. R. Martin hates war. He hates the idea of it. He wants peace. That's what George R. R. Martin's overall idea is. So in the Night King, we can only assume in his mind, if he controls everyone, there is no more war. There is no more squabbling. There is no more of this bullshit. Everyone just freeze everything in ice. All these emotions are gone. It's the emotions and the feelings and the free will and all that bullshit that is the enemy to the Night King, not necessarily the people with their hot blood. He thinks their hot blood is what makes him do all these terrible things. I think in his mind, he's doing the right thing, because the Night King is just a hero for the other side.
Except that's where Jon Snow comes in, Aegon Targaryen, because it will be his job to unite everyone together. Exactly. That theme of unity, that over and over and over again, the only way that you can they keep telling everybody that, I think even Jon has said this over and over, the only person who can defeat the Night King is Jon Snow. And the reason is because Jon Snow will unite men and all of the people, the humans who are living. He has always been the uniter. And you just said something that totally brought me all back to this. Remember when Robert Baratheon was talking to Cersei and he said, how many? Yeah, 5 or 1. What is the stronger army? And every interview that I've seen, or that they've been doing a lot of promos and stuff for Game of Thrones, the theme has been that you're going to see a lot of season 1. They're going to go back to season 1 over and over and over again.
So they're going to do flashbacks.
Not flashbacks.
No.
They're going to be pulling stuff. So that might come back up where they talk about, the 5 and 1, how many aren't, we might see something like that.
The story is destined to end in the place it began, basically. And I was actually having this conversation last night with one of my niece's friends. We were talking about God and, the devil, and we were talking about the devil's Bible that they found that's 165 pounds or whatever, made of freaking beryllium. It's crazy. And I was saying that I actually don't believe in the devil necessarily. And my reasons are because I do believe that every choice that we have, that we make right here in this earth right now, it determines what happens when we leave. If we live morally decent lives, then we will go to a place where we can live in everlasting peace. But if we keep making the same mistakes that we made in our past life, we're doomed to repeat them over and over and over again, which means we're just going to get reincarnated to come back and repeat those same mistakes until we learn our lesson. That's why we have deja vu. I'm a firm believer in that. So you have all these people that have been making these same mistakes ever since the very first Long Night, over and over and over again. History has continually repeated itself. You have Arya Stark, who is the reincarnation of Lyanna Stark. You have Jon Snow, who's the reincarnation of Rhaegar Targaryen, and I kid you not, I can prove it, because anyways, Jon Snow is just like Rhaegar, and he's just like Ned. There's so many characters in the story. Tyrion Lannister is Tywin Lannister reborn, basically. You have Jaime Lannister is possibly just like Joanna Lannister, but nothing like Tywin. And you have, let's see here, Daenerys is supposedly Aegon the Conqueror come again. You have all these reincarnated characters in our story who are doing what? They're repeating their story over and over and over again. You have Gendry Baratheon, or Gendry Waters, who's in love with Arya. You have Arya and Jon Snow situation, which could possibly turn into another Rhaegar, Lyanna, Robert Baratheon situation. We have to learn how to avoid the mistakes we made in our past lives in order to move forward into our new lives. And so that's where George R. R. Martin is coming from. Everything is going to end where it began, because until we learn our lessons, it's just going to keep repeating itself.
I'm so mind fucked right now. I don't even know where to go and what to say or what to even add. This has been fantastic. I fucking love this shit.
Yes.
Julie, this is your first time on a podcast with Andrea, right?
Not.
No,
Is
it's
it?
not. No. I think I was on with her a couple of times with
Yeah,
Behind the
second-
Iron Throne.
I don't think so. I think this is your first time, or else you wouldn't be mindfuck like this.
No, I promise
think-
you, I've been on. I don't think we were at the level of mindfuckery then. She's
No.
developed
Oh,
into mindfuckery.
she does this, okay? She does this all the time. This is the best thing about Andrea. She just goes
Oh, it's
down.
fantastic. It just made me
She-
think of so many other things now.
Thank
So-
you.
I'm so prepared, ready to go into the season premiere now. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm just be looking for the little nuances that I weren't looking for before.
So the Night King's dying, obviously.
I think we're looking for resolution, not death.
But I think he's dying.
I don't think he dies. I think they're
Looking
gonna
for
try to
resolution.
find a way to coexist.
Resolution. We either have to turn him back to human by removing the dragon glass or healing him through a different type of dragon glass, or we have to find a way to coexist between the two of them. And with Jon being the Song of Ice and Fire, it's quite possible that Jon is that balance. But until Jon is able to reconcile with the Night King, because that's what Jon does, just like he did with Mance Rayder, just like he did with Stannis Baratheon, just like he did with Daenerys, just like he did with Cersei, just like he tried to do with Ramsay. You know what I mean? Until that actually happens, there's going to be a huge battle. There's going to have to be someone giving. That's Jon's purpose, is to bring peace, to unite people. That's what Jon was born for. He was to unify ice and fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's his whole life. I mean, that's his destiny.
Comments, face. Yeah,
I hope the
comments?
BT community is ready to go, because if she is right on all of this, I want at the end of this season, we're all gonna come at. I think we're all just gonna buy her like a lot of alcohol and be like, "You deserve a break. You've just predicted the entire thing. Here's a drink on us."
So in the comments, John Cervic says that I don't think the Night King cares about politics of Westeros, which is
No.
absolutely true. He has no cares whatsoever.
No, he just wants everyone to fucking get along.
Yeah,
Or-
he doesn't know anything
Or
about
be a
the book.
slave.
Well,
Yeah.
well, being a slave is doing what he wants. His will is to just fucking not
Right.
have any feelings. Period.
Yeah. So that's the Night King. That's all the comments on the Night King.
And we'll know exact. I think his story arc will definitely transform. You know, Trin, you talked about how they didn't have time. Either they didn't have time or they just didn't want to develop his story arc, because I think they wanted to show. I think HBO wanted to give a sense that he's evil, and that
Mhm.
the people of Westeros are trying to fight the evil. I think they were trying to go for that, but I think Andrea makes a good point. You know, they may have left his story arc out of it for that particular purpose, as to Jon being the unifier to bring it all together. Yo, I'm gonna be so mind fucked if this happens. I'm just gonna be like, I don't have anything to say.
But that's why Jon's. But if we're being honest, and this is why I firmly have always believed that Jon's name was going to be Aegon Targaryen, because that was why Aegon came to Westeros in the first place. It's why he conquered the Seven Kingdoms. He didn't conquer them so he could sit and rule over them. He had no interest in ruling over them. In fact, he left that to his two sisters. He conquered the Seven Kingdoms because he knew that they were going to need to be unified into one kingdom under one king at some point. And it didn't happen in his lifetime. Just like Brynden Rivers said to Bran Stark, you came to me, Brandon Stark, though the hour is late. He had been waiting and waiting and waiting for a Brandon Stark to come to him for however many years, because they knew at some point it was going to happen. Aegon the Conqueror knew that there was going to be an Aegon that saved the realms, from a greater threat. He didn't know when it was going to happen, but it happened. And so now you have, Rhaegar, who's trying to bring back, the three-headed dragon for a specific reason. Why? Because that was the whole entire purpose of Aegon the Conqueror in the first place, not to conquer, but to unify. And they wrongly named him.
Right.
John says no, the Night King will be the Thanos of Westeros.
I was just
That's-
gonna say,
that's a really
there's
good
a lot of
parallel.
You
Yeah.
got Jon and the Avengers versus the Night King and Thanos. It's awesome. I think that's it.
When is this
I
Avengers?
think-
Well,
thing you guys
hang on
doing?
one second, John. We do have an email that Chris wanted me to read. It comes to us from Dalton Saad. Hopefully I said your name right. See, I'm a hockey fan, so when I see it Saad, I think it's Saad. But here's the message. He says, "Hey guys," he or she, I don't want to put a gender on you. "Hey guys, just a thought as to where Arya might be right away in the trailer. It's clearly made to make you think that she's in the crypts of Winterfell, but could she really be in King's Landing?
Absolutely.
If you look at where Arya is in season 1, episode 5, running around through the dungeons and overhearing Varys, it looks just like where she is in this clip. In season 1, she takes a tunnel from there outside of the castle walls.
Mhm.
If Arya was back there, she might try to use this route to escape whatever she's running from. It could be the show's
She's not running.
attempt to throw us off. Who knows? Let me know what you think. Thanks. So go ahead, panel.
I don't think she's running from anything. I think that this is another chase scene 2.0. I think that she's letting somebody think that she's scared and running from them, and she's running them into a trap. This is what Arya does. And I think that was really specific for that clip. As a lot of people are like, what could Arya possibly do? What's chasing her?
Oh, because
Arya,
when she was
in
running
my
from the waif,
opinion-
it was the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the mountain who she's moving away from Cersei into a place where a Sander is, so she can get to Cersei on her own. And that's my opinion of what's happening in that scene. Sure, she has panic written all over her face, but that's the great thing about Arya. is
She
that-
had that same face when she was running from the waif, though. You
She
really
did.
thought
She
was
did
there?
indeed.
exactly. That's the
Shit.
chase
Now I'm gonna
2.0.
have to. gonna have to go back. I
John
swear to God.
Serbeck says, Julie, boom.
Boom.
So
But yes, I do think that she's in King's Landing. There are some. It's really easy to confuse in that specific scene, and then those clips because, she's in Winterfell in one of them, and she's in King's Landing in another, and
Yeah.
you don't really get to know that when you see Beric Dondarrion, I think it was, and Ed and all of them that are coming through those large doors. I do believe that's King's Landing as well. That's not Winterfell. That's got to be King's Landing. So I'm pretty positive that Arya is that major chase scene isn't Winterfell. That's King's Landing, and it's a setup again. She runs in the dark. Arya functions in the dark. She's not scared of the fucking dark. She's letting something on. Arya is calm as still water, quiet as a mouse. You know what I mean? She's
Yeah.
That's Arya. So I think it's a setup. But did anybody notice the amount of fucking dragon glass that was in the forge?
Yes. Yeah, we
A
A
mentioned
lot of
that.
dragon glass.
All
Huge
over
piles.
the floor, everything. It was dope shit. Dope
Yeah,
shit.
this season is gonna be so awesome, but on the same hand, it's I'm so sad at the same time. Like I don't want it to stop, but obviously there has to be an ending, you know. And but this is
Ollie-
gonna be great.
Ollie said maybe they could end the series by playing Ebony and Ivory by Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder.
Ebony and
So-
Ivory living in perfect harmony.
so,
That actually finishes our list.
so that's it for the show. Trin, tell us where everyone can find you.
You guys can find me, follow me on social media, pretty much all the platforms. I am Dovahkiin Trin. So just at Dovahkiin Trin. Just follow me. And yeah, I don't post a whole lot of stuff just yet. We're getting there. And
Julie,
I will be at Ice and Fire Con.
Julie, tell everyone where they can find you.
If you want to get my personal Twitter, it's at what the hell is it? I don't even know. Just look for wherever. Probably Nerd Girl something or another. But
That works.
this is the last episode before the big season. So I'm always tweeting about stuff like that. Off and on. Actually, it's my personal Twitter is at my name Julie Gray 22. So if you want to get me on my personal Twitter, this is gonna be fun. I can't wait, and I can't wait to review it all with you guys. It's gonna be so hard to watch it and then have to wait a little bit, and it's almost like I don't want it to end. So I'm kind of like I don't want to watch it, but on the same hand, I have to know what freaking happens. But yeah, BTIC community, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, John.
And thank you, Julie. Thank you, Trin. Andrea, welcome back. I did miss going down the deep holes and going on the deep end of our conversations. Tell us where everyone can find you.
I'm not really that findable right now, you guys, and that's a fact. I haven't been on social media in forever. If you want to reach me, you're probably best to reach me on Messenger on Facebook. So you can find me at Andrea Richards on Facebook. I am on Twitter, _Richards 637. You can also find me the same name on Instagram. And I will be posting a link to the fan fiction that I'm getting ready to start posting soon, you guys. It's going to be pretty dope shit.
Woo!
Love
we missed-
fanfics.
I have 32,000 words written so far.
I literally
Yeah.
discovered fanfics, and now I'm completely obsessed with fanfics.
I've been doing this for 6 months. Well, since December. That's
What
all
do
I've
you
been
do
doing
it? Do you do it on the archive Our own?
I'm gonna post on Archive of Our Own. Yes,
Okay.
I am. But it's gonna be dope. I'm changing it. It's gonna be more magic, more werewoods, more warging, more green seeing, more dragons.
Mama Cheryl!
Rhaegar is gonna live. Lyanna's gonna live. Robert's Rebellion's still gonna happen. Robert's still gonna be king. It's gonna be fucking crazy dope shit though.
Ollie.
So
All of my wildest fantasies right in one work.
that's
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
You can find me anywhere. Just type in my full name. Just to let you guys know, this is the last time we're gonna be doing on Sundays until this during the season. During the season, we'll be doing it on Mondays, a short episode on Mondays. After the season, we're going to go back to Sundays, and we're going to do a full episode breakdown, a little bit longer. So just remember that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Behind the Throne TV. I don't even know if that's the right one, but subscribe to us, hit the notification so you get to, I know. Okay, just type in Behind the Iron Throne, it'll pop up. Okay, so hit the notification bell so you can get the notifications when it comes on. And if you can't watch them live on Monday, just record, just so you can download our podcast and get it anytime. Also, April 26th, Ice and Fire Con 2019. Me, Trent, Chris is gonna be there. It's gonna be so much fun. There's a lot of activities. There's a 4K run that Trent's gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing
5K,
jousting,
but
5K. I'm gonna be doing a jousting and melee
4K.
tournament.
It's a TV run, okay, Trin? It's a TV run.
I'm gonna be on, I think, 3 panels. I think 2 with Trin. And we're also gonna be doing a meetup, so it's gonna be very fun. So check that out too. I think that's it for everyone here. Chris, say hello, Chris. Chris is waving.
He's not really conducive. I think he fixed his electrical problem, hopefully.
So
we'll get him next episode.
Get ready, guys. Get your popcorn, get your beer. 2 weeks away from Game of Thrones season 8 premiere. I cannot wait.
Winter is coming.
Yes.
Is coming.
13 days, 23 hours.
Oh my god.
Oh, I mean 13 days, 22 hours. It just
I'm gonna
updated.
say,
sorry.
wait, what?
Can't believe it's here.
It's dope shit.
Oh, you guys are out.
What?
Game of Thrones season 8, episode 2, trailer breakdown. Fuck off.
Okay.
What the hell?
All right, I'm
my
gonna
text?
end
Get
the.
up early.
I'm gonna end the live stream, so I'll see you guys later. I gotta
Bye.
get back to it.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. We'll
Bye,
see you
guys.
in 2
Bye.
weeks. Get ready.